Hey guys, welcome to the close. 2 hours to go in the trading session. What a volatile day it's been. Here we go back to the downside once again as we all sit here and wait the president to make some comments on this Ukraine-Russian situation at this point. No real significant developments since last we spoke, but the last update I saw was 2 p.m. or later is when this news conference was going to begin. So we'll let you know when it happens. 1.6 for the S&P currently. The Dow 1.7, 1.75 for the NASDAQ. These two have been leading to the downside all day. 1% here in Toronto in negative territory. Crude oil, yeah, this was 3 plus. When I sat down this morning, we're all the way back to 1.3%. Bitcoin and Ethereum trying to hold on to some gains, but pretty red day right across the board. Retailers leading up here. Home Depot down 9.5%. Best Buy 7.6% to the downside. There's Lowe's, earnings to come for Lowe's. Target as well, 4.6%. The travel names back under pressure here. All the cruise lines are here to the downside today. LVS and Wynn as well, 5+%. For both in negative territory, the tech group, all three groups here, semiconductor, software, and hardware makers, leading the way as far as individual decliners. I want to mention Netflix up here, 4%. I saw Twitter right beside it, another 4% on the DWAC news today. There's Boeing as well, standing out 5%. And energy stocks, as we mentioned there. Oil making a move back to the downside after initially showing a lot of strength on this. There we go. I was waiting for this board to update. Tesla down almost 6%. Lucid as well, about 5%. Wow, Airbnb, I didn't even see that yet. 7% to the downside. So you get the picture. It's not positive at this point, but that doesn't mean there weren't a lot of opportunities this morning. If you joined us in the pre-market, as we do every single day in the first hour of the show, we talk a lot about opportunities to come at the open, get you set for the open. Then we take you through the first hour of the day. Right now, we're going to go back and revisit some of those opportunities and see where we could have done better. See some that we might have missed. How can we do better tomorrow? That's the point of a review. Sean's going to lead the way today with a look at one of his trades from this morning.
Wow, we have a big negative trade here to talk about for our trade of the day. And the reason why, it's actually the only negative trade that we have on board today, but it's a learning example. It's something, you can't just look at your winners and be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to repeat that tomorrow. Often traders have losing trades. And I think today was a perfect example. DWAC, we came in expecting fireworks today. We released, well, not we did. They were released yesterday. The True Social came out yesterday, sort of as expected. So when we come in this morning, look where we get all the way up to. We haven't seen above 100 since the day when we started to go crazy back in October when it was first released and talked about. Today we get that 100 break. So I'm coming in thinking to myself, let's trade that 100 break if it does happen again. So this is what was going on in the pre-market. Very exciting, up and down and around. Makes bottoms of like 93, 94, makes tops here of 108, 109. So we're like, you know what? If we retake this 100, which is right here, should have drawn a line where you can see where 100 is, right here, then that's where we wanted to go long if it retook 100. I do this every time again. Unfortunately, what happened was a lack of liquidity. And I think how to learn from this is really it breaks it in the pre-market. That should have been like right away, a little bit of like, uh-oh, you know, we broke this in the pre-market. Unfortunately, we were all the way down here, 93, 94. And so I did have a decent amount of shares I thought we'd break in the open market, but it breaks early. It doesn't go up. We realize we're in trouble and we get a piece out at 99. So right away, we're down $1. Then where do we put our stop? We just use this area again for concern for the stop. So back in here, $93, $94, it actually comes back down and there's the break right there of 95. So we get out. It's a horrible trade. It's a $6 loser or $5.50 and change loser on the downside. And then we're like, uh-oh, what are we going to do? Well, then we thought we saw a base. So we went right back in again. And then it went up. And we're like, oh, that's pretty good. And at that time, it touched VWAP, touched the 50-period moving average. So we get back in at 91, I believe it was. And then there's an out at like 93 and change. So we're like, okay, this is good. Now let's wait for it to come back up here and make what we've lost. But again, we never enter a trade without having an out. And just as soon as we got out, about, what was it, the very next minute, it comes back down and even breaks some of these pre-market lows. So we use that in right there, 87, 88, whatever that tick was, to get out again. So it's like lose $5 here, make about $1 back and then lose the same amount, a little bit more there on the way back down. So yeah, DWAC, we left it alone the rest of the day, which I think was a good thing. I mean, there's really no levels down here, maybe 85, 86 we could have worked with, but now you're seeing there's a little bit more. You're not going to see the liquidity by the volume, but if you go over to a level 2, you'll see you're about 10-cent spread, something like that. So much more tradable right now, but it's DWAC, and you know what? It's the trade of the day, but the thing is, what did I learn? And really, it was, and if I go back and watch it, I know for sure, I was like, uh-oh, as soon as we got in there and it was before 9:30, I should have reevaluated and maybe just punched out right away when it didn't go, because we let it sort of drift down. We take up way too big of a hit on this trade. It's DWAC, it's your trade of the day, and it's a lesson.
Yeah, lots of opportunities this morning, lots of movement. Unbelievable movement. It was amazing when I sat down. It was up 112, 113, comes all the way back into 100 by the open and even before the open. So amazing movement to the downside, even in the pre-market before we got going, guys. DWAC was on the watch list this morning. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab that link. Check out the watch list every single day. Free, Free. All you need is your email address. Was keeping my eye on this one, Kraft Heinz, having quite the day here, up from, I mean, it's been quite the 4 days, I guess I should say, after earnings last week were pretty impressive, but they announced a new joint venture today among a couple other forecast items that they were talking about. So 4.25% here for KHC. So it's not all negative to the downside, but there was one other thing. Oh, I wanted to show you this as well before we get going here, because this has been updating almost by the minute here today. This is the CME Fed Fund target rate chart, which shows you what's to be expected now in March. So this got as high as, I think it was almost 90%. It was 88 or 89% by the end of last week. It's completely flip-flopped, now 70-30 back to a quarter point hike. So between 25 and 50, and then 50 to 75, all the way back down to about 30%. So crazy changes as these macro geopolitical headlines continue to affect the market. Again, we're still apparently, they're just showing a podium, guys, without a president standing at it. So we're apparently going to get a speech here from the president. So hopefully we'll keep an eye on the market. And KHC, I mean, it's not all negative today. It's not. I mean, okay, KHC at the high of the day, somehow that's where DraftKings is too, but we'll get to that in a bit of a second.
I hate DraftKings.
The thing about, look, you're going to tell me you're supposed to come on, talk, Putin's already talked, you're supposed to come on at 2 o'clock, then you move it to 1 o'clock, and then you can't make 1 o'clock, you move it to 2 o'clock, and then it's 2 o'clock or later, and now it's after 2 o'clock. So anyways, now we're just waiting around to have a market moving event here, and the market's deciding to flush anyway. But the thing about the Fed funds rate, by the way, and welcome to the show, is it's just a matter of, okay, can they go 50 basis points if we have these geopolitical tensions, if we're going to war? So that's what's getting priced in here today. By the time they make the decision, this will have been resolved. And if it ends up being a little more of a nothing burger and there's no further escalations, then I would expect those expectations go right back to where they were before today. Kraft Heinz is in the midst of a breakout. I think we talked about this last week at 38. And the reason why you don't get wrapped into even dollar levels too much is I think it's got room to 41, 41 and a half. And we talk about relatively strong names in the market. You got to hunt them out there. I hate to say it. This is the second time I'm short today. And it's in afternoon positions and it's DraftKings. And it is something that is relatively strong today. But the context of the chart is still in a downward trajectory. It still broke that low, that 1750. To me, once you make that breach, I don't want to be long the stock. It would have to show me a couple of days worth of consolidation. So I got stopped out in the morning off of that 1750 level. And then when it came back in the afternoon and actually tested Friday afternoon highs, rolled over. Now I'm into that trade to the short side. We'll see how it works out. You're in the short in Facebook. So when you win, I'm likely going to be getting in, Sean. It's close to that 200 level. I'll take a defense just because it's a round number, maybe give it a few extra shekels in front of it. But it feels pretty inevitable at this point. I saw Trader Prad say, oh, it's $1 away. It's not at 200 yet. I almost feel like it's only $1 away. It's inevitable it gets there.
Oh, man, I don't, like, at this point, honestly, I don't know what's going on, but Facebook's a good trade for me. We are short right now into Facebook. What's up? Welcome to the Power Hour, which starts in 50 minutes. It's only 2:09, but I'm feeling like right now we are waiting for this market to continue to go down Stop messaging me. Message Pratt instead, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so let's go to the bottom side right now. Here we go. So now Facebook's starting to crack. We are short this. We want to be short the market today, obviously. DraftKings short as well, the same from the morning. We're now 22 cents in. I told you we would reload it up here on the top side. It's embarrassing that like I could have picked any name and I just beat up on DraftKings today. Like look at SoFi. I feel the same way about all of these names, and it's just pissing me off. Part of my French, that DraftKings is not going. Like, look at SoFi, down 10%. Look at my boy Palantir. You my boy, Blue. Not any longer. Look at Palantir, 1040. Well, I mean, that crashed early, and now has been baselining, but doing absolutely nothing. And then I'm sitting here in DraftKings, where it's like I have to, you know, pick the absolute best prices in order to make some money. But hey, I'll do that. I'm here for that. So we'll wait to see where it goes. But yeah, very, very frustrating with DraftKings. And then we finally flipped it up, man. Here we go. Look at only short in Facebook. The first short was 204.40. We took that live on our opening show. Bang, 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 bang. All the way to the downside. We take about $2 on that trade. Then we go short again. Take a buck, get out for flat, or that was about 30 cents in. Then we shorted again. Now let's see where we go to the downside here with Facebook. Still continuing, it's $1 in the money. And I guess, Brendan, I don't see him talking yet, but as we go here, I'd like to stay short everything. Facebook, I mean, the market is absolutely collapsing, guys. Like, honestly, I cannot believe I'm not, you know, in more money than I actually have right now. $1.02 in the money on Facebook, and we're getting ready to crack 200 right now. You're already on
I just got to fill, like I said, like it's only a matter of time before I'm defending 200. Oh my goodness, like everything's cracking at the same time. I just got into Indo off of $8. Facebook long off the 200 level. Lucid just broke 25. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll talk about some of these levels as we roll into the afternoon show. Yeah, forget about that. We're hitting these levels right away. So Lucid, on the daily chart, here's your 25 level. Remember how great it was when it was breaking that multi-level support on the daily chart at 33? Well, okay, here's another one at 25, just breaking as we speak. I just got 96s. So the market is absolutely cracking, and the only thing I got long is that Facebook, and that cracks 200, and I'll be out of that quick time. Indo, by the way, that INDO, that's more of a small cap flyer up there, so it might not care that the market's falling, but we're short anyways.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Amazing. Like 71 million shares traded today. The stock has a 1.5 million share float. So that's unbelievable volume on that INDO today. Here's the headline for Lucid. If you missed it during the midday, they recalled it was actually, I thought it was 230 I saw, or 203. So 200 cars basically on a safety concern. So not a big recall, but that's kind of kicked off the selling for Lucid. Let's jump into a few other things that we can talk about this afternoon here. One of those, yeah, that INDO is still going, trying to get back above that 805 area. One of those, though, chip stocks, because it's been pretty apparent all day long that AMD was showing a lot of relative strength. They were all down in the pre-market, chip-related stocks anyways, on that, you know, fear of sanctions on Russia may end up leading to further disruptions to chips, as a lot of the materials needed to make chips comes from that area, guys.
Some orders here to hopefully manage some of these trades. I will, and apologize for this chart, because I'm going to quickly show you. I scalped some Facebook out there for 50-cent wins, so we'll try to hit that key. Because if you're risking 20 cents, you should take 50 when you get it. But AMD was a frustrating one for me. Now, obviously, we'll go over some of the morning trades, and Roblox was fine to the short side, as was Roku off the top, but AMD was one I wanted to hold all day long, and I got greedy with it. Now, it was relatively strong all morning, up 2% when I think we're still down in NVIDIA. I love the fact you're holding that 200-period moving average. All of these things led me toward this trade when it's breaking back out above Friday's highs. So you get this look, I'm like, okay, we'll scalp some out to this first level here, then we're off to the races, hopefully up to 120 to 122, but here's the thing. You can't fight the market. There's just nothing you can do about it. This was churning, it was looking fantastic, and then Vladimir Putin had his press conference and the market reversed. Now, at that particular point, there is nothing you can do about the trade. Sure, it was looking fantastic, but the market has flipped on you. The sentiment has changed. You know, that type of a long, it's just not going to work in that situation. I got out of it break even. So like ultimately it'll be a bit of a disappointment, but I think the read was right. I'll be happy that we picked a good stock in a good price area, but sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. And there's nothing, going back and just averaging in at the same price or trying to force yourself into a long, there's no point, right? He came on the horn, and next thing you know, the market reversed hard, and we're still going to the downside. And you can't fight something like this. If anything, there was probably a short reversal in there at some point that I suppose I could have taken in AMD, but that's a simple case of your levels can be right, your thesis can be right, but there are certain things that can happen in the market. And there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is adjust on the fly, recognize that something had changed, and then we got out break even. I was willing to give it $1, but once Putin hit the horn, that completely changed, and I wanted to make sure I didn't lose on the second part of that trade. So AMD still relatively strong because it is up for now on the day, but there's still 2 hours left for that to change, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the market's tanked pretty good. I mean, we just reloaded our Facebook short up here. So we'll see if it can come back into the downside. Just reloaded right there at 30s, 27s or so. And then it just touched O's. Maybe we should take an O out there on Facebook. Nothing wrong with doing that. Let's just put a bid at O's now. If we can get that, we should take it now. And then we'll see if we can, float down a little bit lower than that off of that. Actually, we did get our bid. We can cancel that. Sorry about that. We did just get that bid. We put a bid at O's and we got it. Actually, that was 80. It just cracked lower. We actually got that right there, 85. So there's the reload there, 21s, out 85s. It goes down as low as 70. Now you're seeing it starting to take up. It looks like the market wants to take this out. Our out is up here 80. So if we can crack above 80 up here, then we'll get out. We're short Facebook at 201.21 right now. So a good trade so far for us today, but it's starting to get a little bit outside there of the range as the market. I don't know. I don't see anybody speaking right now. But you can see the NASDAQ starting to poke its head above the 50-period moving average right now. So, yeah, the market getting much more aggressive here to the upside, Brendan.
All right, let's go to Macy's, guys. A big earnings report for Macy's didn't really matter today. There was initial positivity both in the pre-market and right out of the gate at the open. Nice run up to 28 at the open. But look at this reversal, like just unreal. Now down 5%. Huge wick on the daily chart, guys, for M.
It's close to the same thing. I just saw, and apologies if I messed it up, it was Adam H. in the chat was like, there wasn't anything huge in the presser by Putin and the reverse the markets and everyone's getting emotional. I don't disagree with any of that, but it's just, at some point it almost doesn't matter when you're trading. It just, and I hate to repeat the same thing over again, but Macy's tried to test higher. It had a lot going for it, buyback, dividend, earnings beat, short interest, and then running to the upside. Tested a double top. It just couldn't get going anywhere. So I took my stop out. It then retested the high, and then you're back getting new lows here. As a matter of fact, breaking the 25 even, kind of doing the move I'm hoping Lucid's going to do at 25. So this is one of those things where, okay, on some levels, a lot of the upside in Macy's has been because of its short interest in the squeeze and momentum to it. But hey, that's some of the same reason we've seen some of these flyers that have bucked the market trend continue to make runs higher. So I would have thought that could have happened today for Macy's on a pure momentum play. Unfortunately, it did not. It is worth noting that it did fail at previous resistance. So every time we go upside from here, if we're bouncing off the 200, you're just going to look at this 28 and say, okay, Macy's can't seem to get through that price anymore. That's a selling point. I came in thinking today it would have a run at it. I never considered the reversal short at 28, which looks in hindsight obviously like a mistake, but everything's pretty clear when you look in that rearview mirror like that, right? It's funny how everything becomes pretty easy.
Yeah, for me, Macy's for me was pretty easy today. I mean, I just had the idea of going long and actually got really lucky because the long is not right, but we cashed out of this long real early on this trade. I mean, by real early, we were done by 10 o'clock, and then it started to bleed to the downside, and that's where we were like, okay, we'll see this another time because it just started to keep going to that downside, and you could see what happened, just trickled all the way down. And again, like, no idea. I was not expecting this kind of a movement on Macy's today. So, maybe it's time to take this to the long side. Again, we obviously all of us sitting here waiting to see what Putin has to say moving forward now. So I think that's going to be the most important about any sort of a trade now. But I like Macy's down here at 24 bottom. Let's just look at this in a couple minutes once we figure out exactly when Joe Biden's going to come on and figure that out. Yes. But I mean, The 24 is a good bottom right here. We're near the 200 period. I feel like this is a good long for that, but we were in and out real early, and then the bottom just fell out of this name as the market just kept going to the downside. So yeah, big fail here for Macy's today. Thought it was going to be a good day. It's my #1 stock, and we're up a lot on it, but at the same time, like really thankful that we were able to get out of the way because we kept buying all these dips. Like if one of these dips doesn't work, then Macy's is dead. So yeah, really lucky to get out of it. The 50 period crossed a couple times. It crossed to the downside right here at 27 bucks, and then that was see you later down to 24. So is there a potential for it to go back up? Of course, but for right now, man, I mean, just watch out for this market. We are still below the 50 period moving average, deciding what it wants to do.
All right, the big headline sorry, Neil. The big headline in the pre-market this morning was all about Truth Social coming back to the week after the long holiday weekend. I wanted to mention here, I mean, we heard Sean's take on it off the top as far as DWAC is concerned, but I wanted to mention here, you know, all these other stocks that are typically tied to DWAC, including PHUN and also CFVI, there was really no rally. It didn't really matter what you were in. I mean, this PHUN was the same thing. It was really easy to leave a lot on the table if you were short anyways. 1.5% still positive, but all the way back and then some. Looks fairly similar to DWAC.
Yeah, I mean, look, it kind of stunk, right? Like it was a gap up that basically just sold off all morning. And you know, I had one trade on there, and I was sort of looking back and just said, okay, well, we know 87 was a price that, I mean, for 2 weeks, right? Like 87 over and over again, it would just find a high at 87 and turn around a couple of times, breaking it and slamming back and then reestablishing that as resistance. Like how many times was it going to do that? So when I came in today and saw that we were already breaking down 100, we gapped above, we'd gone back and forth at that price range. We were trending to the downside. When it opened up, I said, oh, well, I mean, 87 is the only thing that I could lean on. So I did grab that long trade if I made a mistake, and I guess it would be fair to say that I did make a mistake in DWAC. When I got the long, scalped some out, thought, okay, now it has to go right up to 92 or up to VWAP. And I really didn't give it any chance to retest that level, reclaim 87, and make a bounce. Because, you know, guess what? I stop out, end up making close to that bottom, and then it goes right back right after the show, you know, get up, take a little bit of a break, and then of course that's exactly when DWAC is retesting 87 even, and those are your only longs. It's that 87 right into that pre-market low around 94. It's done it a couple of times, and outside of that, there hasn't been much to capture on the long. It's setting up that 94 could be a bit of a breakout. You know, right at 933, that was a top, and then 1020 off that 87 bounce, and then again at 1230 after the other 87 bounce. It's been a 94 top that's pretty clean on DWAC, but now, I didn't even really trade fun outside of early in the pre-market when it was a bit of a scalp trade, but there's just not much to be had here. Unless it breaks 94 or breaks below 87, I'm not going to be trading it. I was going to quickly just sort of make a comment. I got to clean up this Facebook chart. There you go. So Facebook off at 200, come all the way back to 202. Now it's getting a bit of a consolidation rollover. There's some risk, of course, with Biden hitting the podium, so you can probably guess what I'm about to say. I'm going to put a trail in, and it's relatively tight. I'll give it back to like a 201, like 75, now that we're in the money. I just don't want him turning the market on me here. When you're getting a 200 break or 200 support like this, realistically, it's, you're risking 20, 30 cents, and I don't necessarily think I have to grab VWAP here, but it's almost like a get in, get out of the trade. I'll give it a chance that from this consolidation, it'll break higher. But I'm not going to sit around and allow it to pull back a full dollar or anything like that. I'm just going to take the money and run off a level like that. So we'll take advantage of it. Lucid, on the other hand, which I am in on that 25 break, it's just doing a heck of a lot of nothing. It broke back up, got to 25.15, has yet to really reclaim, so it's going sideways off of this key level on Lucid.
Oh man, just making sure. Yeah, so I took that out. So we were short Facebook, went long, got out. So just back and forth there on Facebook. No real damage one way or the other on this name, but there's the short. So where were we? Short there and out. We shorted again and got out. Then it ripped up and we took the last piece out and then went long and were able to dump our long up there. So net, It's pretty good, just looks a little bit messy there. Obviously, I wish I would have turned that out into a short, but hey, at least the out is there. Now you're starting to see the market come back in. So yeah, maybe Facebook breaking below this 201. I mean, that's a 50 period right there, 201.30. So we're getting very, very close to that. We'll check back in on Softy, see if there's a problem there. I know we're on DWAC, so I mean, we've already talked about it. You saw there's DraftKings, the back down to the downside. Let's go DraftKings. But DWAC right here, we've talked about that. And if you missed it off the open, go look at it. But we take the 100 break, we lose $4 or $5 on the downside and just bouncing around and still not doing anything. So for me, I'm going to leave DWAC alone until we see 100 again, or we start to test some of these lows, which is like very close, but still $3 away, 86, 87. So I think you just got to wait. Right now, it's a tricky stock today, DWAC. I'm not a fan of the movement today. Just too choppy off the open. Like it takes 100, then about 5 or 6 minutes later, well, maybe that's 10 minutes later, it's down to 87. So it's just too violent, really on nothing, right? It's just they released it. It's out there, we know. So I think we got to wait for this a little bit more. But here we go. We tried to reload again. We were actually at 18.20 up here for the reload on the short of DraftKings. But we take a piece out at the 50 period. Now we're starting to go back to the downside. DraftKings, although still I'm upset about this stock. It's been worse. I mean, we could pick something else, but I'm just really embarrassed how high this name stayed today. Because if we had shorted any of its brethrens, it'd be down like $2, $3. But DraftKings remains high up here.
Yeah, look at Peloton. Some of these.
Might as well flip to DraftKings because I just did it right there. But go ahead, Brenda. What do you want to say about DraftKings?
I'm just going to mention, guys, the president has begun. So a few comments coming through already. Nothing that we don't already know, I guess, is the best way to put it. So President Biden definitely speaking at this point. But yeah, let's go on to DraftKings. Red to green. I mentioned when we started at 2 o'clock, not all negative so far this afternoon. A bit of an unexpected one, but yeah, here's DraftKings. I think there was about 4 or 5 different negative analyst moves today. It gets back above Friday's close and then some.
Look, man, DraftKings, it stunk. So DraftKings was that 1750 break, and once it broke below that, it's like, okay, well, so once it broke below that, it's like, okay, well, I want to short back into it. This is it on the daily, that previous low from January. So, I mean, I think we probably did the same thing. I stopped out when it took it out, and then got back into this thing off the high, which I mentioned to you. I got some out in front of VWAP. But see this volume spike that just happened when the president got on tap there? Yeah, so, I mean, this was cruising to the downside and looking like it was about to test VWAP. The market was cruising down, and then all of a sudden you had a harsh reversal. In that moment, and just to go back to some other trades here, because this is a little bit frustrating, like Lucid stops me out on that candle. Facebook, even just there, like the trail out on Facebook, this is getting trailed out, and then 1 minute later, it spikes up and goes to 202.50. So this is one of those markets that I feel like just take the profit. And like you execute a winning trade or it gets in the money, like, you know, if we get down close to VWAP again, I'm taking some more DraftKings out because it's getting really whippy, and we're probably due for a bunch of that, you know, while we're awaiting for comments to end here. And if we get something concrete, fair enough. But it's a very whippy market that I'm seeing. And then the other one I'm in Indo, it doesn't care. Like I'm shorting it off this double top and then playing it once it gets below VWAP to the south side. But you know, started with DraftKings and wanted to quickly show you that this is what happens. You can have a setup that was looking good off the high of the day, and then the market off of those lows, DraftKings trying to finally fall for the first time here today, and then just one volume wick that everything I was looking at had the same volume spike to that upside. Worth noting here, look, I know they're under pressure and the chart looks terrible, but with the market at the lows right now, if we make another press to the low of the day and break it, and DraftKings does not capitulate at least to VWAP, then it's not going down today. And you know, I'm not going to hold it past this high. If we break the top, I'll just accept the fact that it's not coming down today, despite a very key level break. You can break levels like that, but if it doesn't follow through, sometimes it signals a bit of a bottom. Maybe that's what DraftKings is trying to do here.
Yeah, we'll take advantage of DraftKings and we'll just drop the money down here again because we're starting to, you know, actually make some money on this. Every time it spikes up, man, we're just hitting that short. We actually I told you I was sitting at 20, and I mean, this is part of what we're doing here. You know, I said we were sitting right there at 20. It spikes up there on that Biden move, I guess. He's on the podium right now. Brendan will bring us anything. He said, it just says he will defend every inch of NATO territory. So we'll see. We'll see exactly what that means there. But yeah, right now, Joe Biden on the podium. We're going to take advantage of that. I'm still bidding here 99. See if we get a little dip down. We're 17 cents in the money, but we are actively watching everything. Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, all this kind of stuff as the market trying to react right now, down 1.5%. A nice move up there, but it stops. It's not even close to 14,000. We're at 13.79. So coming back in, I still feel the market falls on this. I don't know what people expected Joe Biden to say, but for right now, it looks like the market is kind of just absorbing it. So still more to come on this one, Neil. Yeah,
and speaking of stocks that are beat up, Roblox got all the way back to 48. So that happened rather quickly. Now, 48.5 was about the level we're working with in the morning. It's going to zoom out so you guys can see a little bit better here. But these tops were 48.80 to 49, and we're shorting those prices. It got really close. I canceled offer. I was on the offer close to 48.50 where I was getting the top in the morning, and then we didn't quite get there. So I think maybe using this recent high, 48.30, I might try to get back in on some pops. And look, it's whipsaw action, but if you have a good level and you have a stock that you're comfortable with, going to go back to that. Well, I did trail out of the short. I was holding it all day long, and I did trail out of it back at around 1 o'clock. So it does feel like this market is trying to rally off the bottom. Some stocks have made full reversals. I think that gives you an opportunity to trade at levels where we kind of know where there might be resistance. Others are still hanging on those lows. Just as an example, I mean, Home Depot would be probably the biggest one there.
Yeah, the keyword algo's on high alert right now. But yeah, the market trying to bounce here. We put growth stocks on the list here this afternoon simply because a lot of people I saw still talking about a lot of these names. I'm going to pick on Space just because they report aftermarket tonight. But I mean, you can look at Square, you can look at PayPal, you can look at really any of these, and you're going to see the same thing. I mean, another 7% today. We mentioned that $8 level on Space this morning. That's gone, and then some. But Virgin set with earnings aftermarket tonight.
The only thing that's fair is like apparently $8 break wasn't very clean, actually. Now that I look back at it, I kind of like when I looked at the chart this morning, I was like, oh crap, $8 break, but it wasn't that good. Like you would have been triggered into it at the open right at 9:36. It comes up to 25, and then it would have broken again. For sure, you'd be in here, and then it breaks the morning range high. So I definitely would have been stopped out of that, only to watch it come back down. Look, this would be a name that if we get a run in the afternoon, I think it goes without saying. It revisits 8 or VWAP, that's going to be shortable. But it's not doing a heck of a lot right now. So I don't want to sit here and fight the stock when it's not moving too much. But when you talk about growth names, it's just, we just showed Roblox a little bit there, and that was relatively weak. And there's just so many of these. Rivian was a pretty good example of a name that had been making a bit of a bounce off of some recent lows, and then just absolutely, capitulated on a big move up. Like at one point, it was breaking out, goes to this same lower high, and what the symmetry on this chart is just absolutely gorgeous. That's why I want to show Rivian. You had this top going back into Feb 1, double top at 71, and then the lower high right at 69. Last week, you had a top at 71, and then you have the lower high here at 69, and then just absolutely flushes off of that level. So, I see something like that. It's just like, why am I not trading Rivian? When we find names that just sort of fit our style of trade, we should be all over them. Obviously, I liked Roblox today. I also liked DraftKings, and that didn't work out. But certainly Rivian here gave you that opportunity to the south side. Just find names that you like to express certain trades, as another one just went. So I just got stopped out of Indo. That just took out the top. That doesn't care. I don't think about the market. But that is a low capper that is making some power moves. Now Facebook's at 203.
Yeah, these stocks, they're nuts, the way these stocks move. And my most frustrating stock of the day, of course, we've already talked about it, as I get more short right now, is going to be DraftKings. And it's funny because Brendan talks about pick any of these stocks. But no, today, the most frustrating one for me is the same reason why it shouldn't be, is that it's not going down. We pick a very, very high growth name here today, and we thought that it would be getting killed like those names that Brendan gave to us, but no, it's not. So DraftKings right now, we are reloaded to the downside here off those same levels, and let's just keep on doing it, man. Like if we could just keep getting out of these names every time they come back in, we'll do it, including just rinsing and repeating. So there it is. Like we'll just take a 12 bid there as it comes all the way back through. Just keep on reloading these trades, and then eventually hopefully it will come back to the downside. So that's what I'm doing here. I was debating Palantir, but let's cancel that. I was just looking at it. We should have already been long here on Palantir, so it's a little frustrating. We do have the bottoms right here on the 1 minute of 10:30, 10:35. So definitely some space there for a frustrating stock of the day. And there it is again, man, another 12 cents. Yes, sir, let's go spit it. Money. So my most frustrating stock of the day right now is just scalping in and out here on DraftKings. Short, out. Again, short, and getting these out. So it doesn't look like it wants to tank unless the market drops. So no more getting out of DraftKings unless we're a lot lower than this. So let's go sub 18 now on DKNG. The market should fade back in here. Let's hope that we got this. And I'm lying. Let's put one more bid here at 1801 or 1802, right where the 50 period is. And then we'll see if we get some love back near 1780, guys. So one more bid out for DraftKings. And then I think we could hold the rest for hopefully a big move down. I'm at the highest spot we've been at all day, and realistically, guys, one negative stock today. That's going to be DWAC right off the open, and that's my bad. Too many shares too early on that name.
Just seeing crude, guys, finishing the day 1.4%, but huge day. Yeah, we can throw in growth with frustration because I think it's definitely that entire group definitely causing a lot of people frustration. I mean, I'll add these to the list. Sean was talking about DraftKings there, but CFEI, I mean, any of these. I mentioned PHUN, CFEI, DWAC. I was expecting a lot more of a bounce on these today, but there was no bid. There was no buying. There was nothing really. I really wanted this one up around 15.5, 16. Never happened, and then it just goes straight down. So what are you going to do? Some days things don't happen as you expect them to. With certain trades. Lucid just popping back up. Yeah, trying to tick higher here, guys. Just saw some volume go off on Lucid, trying to bounce. Remember that recall announced midday today.
Yeah, I mean, I took Lucid off the 25 break. It didn't go. And that's the thing about taking breakout trades at this time of day. The reality is, I'm not going to give it forever. If it's a breakout style trade, it's supposed to be in and out on momentum. And then, of course, you have the market reversal with the president speaking. But from frustrating stocks, I think I can't be, like we've shown a couple, and I know you're 100% right, Brendan, to talk about the disappointment that the lack of follow through or any really exciting trade action on DWAC or any of those related names might be. But, I've done pretty well shorting a firm to have not had at least the first shot at the 38 level. And I talk about this sort of, if you catch something the second time, it's not necessarily as good. But this is the range on Friday on a firm. Trying to break out, fail breaks at 38 in the morning, giving you a clean move all the way down to 36 once, and then bouncing back up, retesting 38 to fall again in the afternoon show back, at least down over $1 or so. And then right at the open, I mean, I'll go back to the 1 minute here, you get this spike right into that same price level, right at that open where you're looking for that pop and fade type of idea, and it gives it to you, and it pulls right back in. It's an easy win to VWAP at that point. I do take it the second time through, and it stops out. Fair enough. I mean, that's fine. I'm going to take that trade the second time, but you really wanted that first. And it just comes down to, I could have said this for Rivian as well, but it's when you find a setup that you like and that has worked well for you, you want to make sure you don't miss out on it. And truth be told, the stock window that I had open up that would have been affirmed today was DWAC. So, it's going to happen. Like I did anticipate that was going to be the bigger mover today and there'd be better trading opportunities. It just never materialized as this market continues to go. Facebook just broke 03s.
Yeah.
That could be the frustrating trade.
Yeah, that's, Facebook, we got out of that one, but I mean, obviously we didn't hold our longs here as Facebook's been a good trade for us today. And I think Facebook will now continue. As long as we have that 200 level, I think it's going to be pretty easy right there. So yeah, let's just keep rocking and rolling, man. Right now the market's starting to go back up to the upside. We're approaching that 14,000 again. So if that hits, that's great. Only 150 NASDAQ points away. Still has work to do. We'll see if it can climb back up to the upside right now. Just looking around, see if there's anything else. AMD looks like maybe close to day's high right now.
No. Well, there's a level here, but it's not day's high. 116.50. That's a good level all day.
Yeah.
But the high's up at 119.
Oh, yeah. The high's up at 119. You got to clear through this 117 and change here on AMD, but you're right at VWAP again. So this is something where if you thought about fading a name, maybe AMD is one you want to fade against that 116.50 high. So something there. I'm not going to do it as the market right now is off. We're well above the 50 period and continuing to climb. So far, so good. PayPal also 52-week low today, but back up to 104 off of bouncing off that 103 52-week low.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Let's put on our longer term hats, guys, and talk about higher time frame trading and swing trading, because we've been dealing with volatile markets since the beginning of the year. A lot of geopolitical concerns, a lot of inflation concerns driving the action currently. We're going to talk a little bit in this video how we can approach swing trading when we're in higher volatility environments like we are right now. And hey, let's be honest, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
No. Look, we're in a raising rate environment. That means volatility is going to be higher. You're watching the VIX, which you might not always do, but you better be doing it now because that's going to be a good indicator for us. And I think the best way to think about how to approach swing trading in this environment is it's not so much about, okay, where's your support and your resistance, but give me something that's breaking out, right? Like, forget about just establishing a level of support that you can hold on to a couple of days, but let's break out of a defined area as well and then engage in the trade, because then that gives you an out, that gives you an entry point, and it gives you momentum. And I'm going to use Kraft Heinz as an example for two reasons. It made a couple of breakouts recently, and the last one, it was off of a nice lower high, so you put in some consolidation, and then you break out of this range, and then the next day, you get an open above the 50-period moving average, which gives you a couple of support levels, either that previous consolidation bottom or the 50-period itself, and then you're on the run, and you've got room to the next level up. It then makes another break here today as we're shooting this. So ahead of this 38 level, it's breaking out above the 200 period. So you have another breakout happening here. And the key thing about that is, okay, so if you're buying in front of support, obviously you're going to get a fantastic price because you buy it right in front of your level. If you allow it to consolidate and break, you're buying it after it's traveled outside of that range. But when there is more volatility, there is more room for that to run. So you're doing two things here. When you're buying after the breakout, you're giving it more room back to support, and then you're with the move and anticipating there's more momentum with the overall trade. So instead of just sort of jumping in front of a key level that might break, you're allowing yourself more space and making sure you're with the momentum. Okay, so you might be late to the move, but there's more to capture in a higher volatile market, especially when you get some of those breakout trades. So it's interesting to see. This is a strong stock in a weak market as well, Kraft Heinz, but allow it to break that consolidation. It's fine grabbing it that next day as long as you're in new territory. There's more room to run this year, both ways.
For sure. Swing trading strategies for volatile markets. So, all right, let's just look at this. My strategy is going to be so simple that it's just going to blow your mind. It's just that simple, and that is play the damn trend. I mean, sure, markets are volatile. Normally that means back and forth, but I feel like in today's environment, there's really nothing that you sit there and say, okay, I'm not sure what to do here with Facebook. Like, since they've reported and since this disaster has sort of, came to everyone's looking, 330, look, this is a daily chart. This was back in, let me see if I can zoom this back out a little bit here. This was back in February, right? So right now doing this, it's February 22nd, all right? There's now been how many days of just nothing but downside movements here on the market? Like 1, 2, 3, let's call it like 15 straight down days and 2 up days. So my strategy is very, very simple. You kind of look at some of these things and say, hey, where is my out going to be if I'm wrong? And I would just kind of use like yesterday's high. If you use some of these, and it's going to be a little bit hard to see, but just use some of these wick highs as your outs. The opportunity to make bank on the way down is monstrous. So just continue to look at those. And for my thing, hold something that has been, and I'll call DraftKings up again. Why not? Hit something that's been sort of trending. We can look at Palantir, any of these names. I mean, just look at this trend, right? The market's been volatile here since the new year. DraftKings, how many down days versus how many up days? Just play the odds. if you're going short, sure, some days you're going to get squeezed out, up 4%. No doubt about that, right? But on other, like, there's big moves. This is 22 down to 17, right? So forget about the move today, up 50 cents. You know, you had $5 if you stayed short, right? Now there's earnings mixed into here, but my idea, Brendan, is as simple as can be. Just stay the course with the movement. If your stock is negative and the volatility is to the downside, play short and don't even look long.
When volatility increases, one of the best things you can do is simplify. Go back to what the basics tell you to do. And in that case, follow the trend becomes your friend, as they say, or something along those lines. Few tips there, guys, on how to deal with higher volatility markets on a swing time frame. I wanted to mention XOM here, guys. We had oil markets just shutting down for the day, or wrapping up shop anyways. XOM back to the upside ever since on relatively light volume. But I mean, this is another group. As I was saying this morning, you know, crude up here, crude was up 3.5%. It ends the day up still 1.4%. But even these energy stocks, monster reversals today that gave you huge opportunities if, hey, like we were just saying, you follow the trend.
Yeah, that's the key, because at one point it was actually uncanny what was going on, because you had like a reversal in the markets and you didn't get any kind of a bounce in XOM, or I mean in oil futures as well as you're looking. So it was kind of determined to give some of that back. Now, part of it's going to be profit taking because you got to unwind in either direction here, but volatility is there. I just feel, of course, one of the reasons why we might not trade energy as much on the show is because, you know, I wanted the chip sector today. That's why we're watching AMD. You got to pick your spots. You can't be looking at absolutely everything. And if you throw something in that forces you to follow yet another, not index, but another commodity there, it's just a little bit more tricky. I like the fact that I can essentially be following one specific group. Like I'll focus on, if I just want to focus on the chips, I can also then look at the NASDAQ and be watching names related to it. You throw energy in and just a few more things to monitor when you're trading 4 or 5 symbols at once. But yeah, that was a pretty large secondary rollover right around noon that happened here. And I don't necessarily think we're done with the volatility. That sort of goes without saying. Worth noting that bounce, and just going back to the market here, and I'll use Facebook as an example, that bounce that we just had up to 203, we're right back to 201 and right back below 13.8 on the NASDAQ as the market starts to roll over again. I'm holding my DraftKings. I actually don't have a bid until we break VWAP at this point. Just thinking, again, if it's the top, then it should be breaking VWAP if we roll over again. And I was all ready to say, okay, if this market continues to go up, I'm going to get me some Virgin Galactic back in front of $8, and that reversal just happened as well. So I might have to chase this one down closer to the mid-80s if I want to be in this here today. Because if we break lows, it could get ugly real quick. Roku's still trying to show some relative strength if you're looking for something other than Kraft Heinz that's strong.
Yeah, pretty choppy for oil today. But so first of all, it's showing that it's closed. That's all that this is showing. So we've already talked about that. Just doing some electronic trading. But the high here, this is a 20-minute chart. You know, we've been sort of topping out at 94, 95, despite everything that's happening in Russia. So to me, I'm a little worried about that. We may have gotten to a top, but again, you see something like an XLE today, and you know, you're up to, I mean, it was up in the pre-market, so we're down now, down 2%. But yeah, maybe oil is starting to roll over, so that might be something to consider if you are into some of these. I'm going to hold it because I don't have a whole hell of a lot of exposure, but you can see right here on XLE, I mean, that's bad because it's not zoomed out properly. But anyways, what were we at today as a high? You could see earlier on, yeah, so I think we were right there. It was up to $70 in the pre-market or just on open, and now you're seeing an aggressive move to the downside here for XLE. So I feel like people know more than we do here, and maybe the escalation is sort of coming to a head, I'm hoping anyways, and oil may retreat back to the downside. But great opportunity to pick some up if you don't believe in that. A good move down, 2% down on XLE, Brendan.
I was just seeing Yandex, guys, YNDX. I guess that was maybe during President Biden's press conference there, popped up. Big move from 39 all the way to 43. Just double checking I'm not missing anything. I will look into that a little bit further. But this was one we were talking about in the pre-market anyways when it comes to Russian exposure. If you're looking for a stock with direct Russian exposure, YNDX probably among the biggest listed on the U.S. anyways. But decent volume there behind that move for Yandex.
Yeah, I mean, Yenix is one. There's also a couple of ETFs there that are worth watching if you want to directly trade it. Now, obviously, it's a fantastic proxy to just look at what's going on in oil futures or nat gas futures, something along those lines, which is what we primarily are going to be talking about. Just coming back in to the market, so that I threw out that Roku was relatively strong, and I saw someone in the chat asking what we thought about Roku, given how strong it is, up almost 10% on the day. In the morning, I did sort of talk about, look, it's under pressure. You can see what the chart looks like, and it's pretty ugly. But there's some signs of it making a bit of a bottom. The first one, bouncing a double bottom off of 100. Like, that's a pretty big pullback on Friday that it made. And then you get a higher consolidation and a breakout. Once it took out that 116, it was off to the races. I said, look for one level. Look for this 128, which was a post-market, support level. Let's see if it could turn into resistance. That's what ended up happening. Unless it gets back to that price, I don't really see a short. It's given you, on the 15-minute, this would be the move you're looking for, counter trend. It comes back to try and fill in that gap to 128, pulls right back into morning consolidation at 120. That's where we're able to capture, and then tries to bounce back higher. What you want to watch for here on Roku would be, if we're retaking those lows, can Roku then hold that morning consolidation like that? It's about 118 to 120. If we can hold that type of a level, then yeah, you're making a strong bottom on Roku. I don't know if I love the idea of going back to the well, shoring it off the high of the day. I'll be happy that I got in and out of that one for a winning trade, and I don't want to fight the market to the upside. And speaking of which, DKNG, if it's not going down, it looks like DraftKings going up. Actually, I'm gonna get out because I didn't mean to go long this one at the high day break, but I'm not holding through a break of the high of the day here on DraftKings. This market is too whipsaw, and for us to test lower that many times and DraftKings not to truly break down, I'm not going to fight it. The stop was at that high of the day, and we've now breached it. Facebook back to 203. You are seeing some follow through come into the market. I'd much rather say, if I'm going to stay to the short side of the trade, I want Roblox back where I had it earlier today, around that 48.30 to 50, and I want Virgin Galactic in front of $8. So as that comes higher, that'll be the name I choose to short if I'm going to stick with the trend. I know, Roblox.
It's like o'clock. We have more than 3,000 people watching and only 300 likes. We deserve way more likes. Team, please help us to increase that number. Only you can help us. Back to you guys.
As good as mine. We're just wondering if everything was okay with Greg back there, but I assume he is. Okay, so yeah, more to come here. DraftKings, as Neil just mentioned, it does break to the upside, so we're just going to get out now. I mean, it's going to be a negative stock for us, but it is a good thing that we were able to. I mean, I just came back to see this trade, so we'll see if it wants to go back up to the upside right now, continuing its movement now. Whoops, that's the wrong chart. DraftKings there does take that out. As you see what the market's doing, straight to the upside, so straight love now, upside on this market. So I think that, I'm not going to, I'll be so mad on DraftKings if I don't get this out and now it goes down after me, frustrating with it all day. So just go back and forth there. DraftKings will flush us down the toilet. But honestly, I mean, the fact that we're able to reload and get out a bunch of times down here at the bottom, we missed that very bottom, but this market, the way it is, man, it's very just back and forth and choppy, as you can see. Facebook up, down, back, around. So let's just wait to see here on DraftKings. We're out of that one, and I don't think we need to be back in, man. I mean, everything sort of hit out for me, and that's that. So we'll wait to see what DraftKings comes forward with now, but I'm going to be out of that name and look to do something different. TDOC today, 62-week low. Yeah, they're going to report. They are going to report, I believe.
It's this week.
No, it's today, I believe.
Tonight.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't see it on that board, but
yeah.
TDOC down to $64. Like, that was one of my better outs in all of this chaos, was getting out at 87 here on TDOC. I don't want to rebuy it, but this is a name that, a little bit of a different space, for me in this. I don't have any telehealthcare stocks to go with, but watch out for TDOC today. This could be real spicy. Like, you want to know a name that could be down to like $40 tomorrow, watch Teladoc if they screw this up. So watch out for that name. Very volatile one, up 1.34%. Maybe the market turns green today, man. We're getting close. Can we get back to 14,000, 13.9?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is I don't think we got anything that scares us. I think that's maybe the reason why we're going to start heading back to the upside. Like, I'm just going to stick with the program and just go back to the shorts that we liked. I never got it the first time, Virgin Galactic, but you'll see I got 89s short. If it breaks VWAP, I'll give it some room and then try to get back in. There's a good 20 to 30 cents already to the low of the day at this point. So we've got some room to work with. Roblox was one from this morning. We talked about being able to get it over and over again around 48.35. Our best entry was 48.50. We're basically back to the same. Well, I mean, okay, I stretched it a bit, getting 25s as the first entry here, but certainly could end up taking some at 50 if it wants to fail at that price. Don't need it taking out those highs. If it does, we can just run to the exits. I just want to be, until we actually break out, the stocks that were the weakest, I want to try to gravitate towards those. And then coming back to what I thought was going to be the one today. Well, I mean, last week, I suppose. I didn't necessarily anticipate we'd get 100 today on PayPal. We're ready for it the way the week ended, but PayPal now breaking back out. Apologies for these wicks. It's kind of crazy on the chart, but it's got a 105 high up here on PayPal. Almost a double top if you want to go back to the morning, 104.81, whatever. It never gets that 100 level, which we thought was inevitable at one point this morning, that you were going to get right down to that even 100. There's just one dark pool wick that traded down there, but otherwise it's held out pretty nicely. I would, before we cue the celebrations on it, remember Block still has to report this week, and really it's still in this range bound, trying to get out of the first level. Maybe 107, 110, those types of things still have to be broken out. And we're one in and out already in Roblox. So Roblox just took out that high that we talked about. I got the 25s in. I didn't want to breaking that 50s. I'll revisit the trade if this market can slow down. I suppose Virgin Galactic's a bit of a different story, because there's a lot of people that are going to want to be risk off in that name. Roblox, they've reported. They've made some fresh lows, right? Like Virgin Galactic has a similar looking chart, but with reporting tonight, I figure there will be some risk off. So if there's one last one to sort of die on that sword, I think that's one I'll go back to. If I was going to have a long at this point, it would have been Facebook holding on to it, or AMD, which did just break back out. This is going to be the frustrating one a little bit, if only because the market turn is what probably made this trade not work. But I didn't have levels down at 113. At that point, once it broke lower, I was thinking, okay, 110 is where I like it, or at least in front of that. And we went nowhere close to that particular price. Maybe we can support 116.50. That looks like it could be a bit of a level that formed today. So that'd be my first look on any pullback, and we support 116.50 on AMD.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at, good call there. We were looking at AMD at that high there of that 118 that we talked about before. That could be something as well. Okay, so just to check on Square, like, wow, $93 today, guys, was the low there on Square. A beautiful move back to the upside. This is, again, one of those names, and we talked about it when we just did our thing there about how to trade volatile markets. Like, you just kind of want to be the trend is your friend, and Square fits that, man. I mean, it's just straight to the downside. As long as you've sort of stayed short SQ, then you've been pretty happy with your performance in your portfolio. So, that's another name that you could definitely look at. PayPal has still remained pretty high. Goldman Sachs. Some of the banks today doing okay, not doing great, but trying to hold out a little bit here. Morgan Stanley still at that 95, and Goldman Sachs still at 350. So some of those names doing what they're doing. But we got to get long, man. This market just continues to move to the upside. Let's go over to Palantir. This is a name that, yeah, darn it. Remember, it was in the 40s, and we're like, yeah, maybe we should take this long. Not maybe. We definitely should have hit that long there on Palantir in the 40s there, based out nicely, and then took off. So darn it, the imbalance locator we don't need right now. Where is my 1 minute chart though? Here it is, down here for Palantir. Darn it. Yeah, a good move. Ooh, right up to VWAP right now too. I don't like to short this, but this could be, the short could be in here on PLTR. Let's try a short now on Palantir. This is not something, I mean, look at DraftKings, first of all, breaking up to the upside. So we were kind of right on that one, that we knew that if it did break higher, we wanted to get out. And look at this, still going. So yeah, good thing we held off on that. And you're going to find that, right? Like, strong stocks come out of nowhere. And DraftKings today, I can't believe it's up 7%. And I wonder if I'm missing a story on this one, but the DraftKings continues to accelerate to the high side. So good on you, man, if you had this one. DraftKings, a nice mover. But Palantir, look, Kathy keeps on selling, and if Aunt Kathy's selling them, that means I'm buying generally. But you can see right here, 1062, the top. If the market fades out, I like that 1062 top. So let's take this right now against that. It's going to be a quick out, maybe 5 cents up to 65. Let's try Palantir short.
There you go. I just got more shares of Virgin Galactic, and then I got on the bid of AMD as well. Just sort of looking at that 116.50 area. It was just afternoon resistance. It was it's the cluster. It was the range that I triggered out on. Like, it broke this low at 116 and then barcoded at 116.50, and they made a couple of successive highs off that level. So I figure if it pulls back in, yeah, VWAP is cover as well. So that's the reason for bidding on that name. Like I said, Virgin Galactic, I got some shares back into the south side. There's still some time for DWAC to make that move, but to me, it either breaks 94 or you're retesting those lows. Like I said, 87, 94. I check back in, market rallying, DWAC still at 93. So there's a chance it can go and make that run at 94. And that's just been since 9:30. That's the level that would have to break to make it a breakout. You've made higher lows at this point. It's all sort of converging on 94. So if I make a trade in DWAC today, it's either, maybe it's a long in front of 85 if it flushes, I suppose, but 94 on a break. On the off chance that it has a bit of a second leg to it, we've seen this happen before in both directions where you break out of a range. Last week it was typically to the downside, and then you get some acceleration in DWAC. So we'll see if it can actually do that with a positive catalyst to the upside today. I don't think any of us actually got a look at the Truth Social app. That's only on the, it's only available in the Apple store there, but some rumor that you can't see it in Canada. I can't confirm because I don't have an iPhone.
No, I think we've confirmed it, right?
These guys can't get it.
I couldn't find it. I was on the Android one. I couldn't find it. But I am finding a little bit of money here, because there it goes to the downside. We just talked about shorting Palantir. There it is, 5 cents. We took it. We didn't take it all. We took 20% out. As like I said, volatile markets, we do want to be short the names that haven't been working. So we are short Palantir right now, and we're just trying to take some profit. It's getting to be power hour right now. So we'll watch to see Palantir, if it can come back in. Ultimately, we're not that far away. The name's not moving that crazy. The 50 period is 46. So we'll take another bid like 52, 51, things like that. But right now, that's what we're worried about. And right now, we've got to go over to Brendo. What's up, bud?
Just seeing Fastly, guys. Another one trying to benefit here on a late day move back to the upside. Nice day for Fastly, up 4.3% after that massive report last week for them.
There you go. Look, beat up names making rebounds. That's what's happening here today. And speaking of one of those, it's weird that you mentioned that Fastly, because Roblox falls into that bucket. I just got back into it because that was an ugly stop out. And I looked back and said, okay, well, when we had it working twice to the short side, we let it break 50, actually get up to 75s twice, and then it rolled back over. So my out should be at 75 and not 50. It's that simple. I know that's a nice round number, and that's also the pre-market high, but that's not the way I was treating it in the morning that worked out. So I'm going to go back and adjust. That's sloppy, putting it at an even number like that. So I'm right back in on a consolidation. I'll give another 25 points. And it's not that you're going back to the low just because you happen to be up on it, but that's a level that worked well for me. So if the market wants to roll over, then I got a couple of names that work well for me. And Fastly, yeah, that's a name that's, the second you say it, the second you point at that chart, now I got that NZ thing going on. Yep. That's what I'm going to add to my quote board here. This is not going to load. I'm going to add to the quote board because you want something that's moving here today. I showed you DWAC not doing anything. That's why I want AMD to be able to trade. That's why I went back to Roblox, which I know has been a good mover. We tried to go over to Facebook and got a winning trade on Facebook ultimately. Now this isn't going to load at all, Sean.
Yeah, all right, so I'll take it over for now. As the market is starting to go back to the upside in a good trade there, we actually got that 52. We talked about putting a bid down there on Palantir, and honestly, that's, in my opinion anyways, part of the show is we do best, is show you guys, mention what our orders are talking about, why we like these orders, and kind of the trades. So there it is, 52 comes, it actually goes right through, touches 51, we don't get any 51s. We're waiting though at 50, so I think, did I switch it up? Yeah, so I put a bid at 50, I'm still waiting to get more short here at 62, and then we'll go from there. So a bid at 50, the next time to go to the downside would be 45 downside. So if that comes through, that's good. So far, so good on that name. And check back in on Facebook. That's been a spicy one for us today, 203.50. Darn it, man, we should still be long that name. That sucks. 203.50 now, Facebook. I'm going to be watching this tomorrow. I really like how aggressive it got going here when the market started to go. So I really like Facebook. We know how aggressive AMD can get. So that's why I'm not really that surprised at that. What? the hell? I just saw Rivian. What? I know you mentioned this earlier, Neil, but what the hell happened to Rivian today? Like it was
rejected.
I love shorting Rivian up here at 70, and I don't know why I was like sleeping today. What's up on Tuesday, long weekend maybe, but that was a fantastic opportunity here. Even like on the 20-minute chart, look at 70, man. It's like 68. We poked our head one time. Like that's worth holding. I would have held this $2 against me. I was going to hold. I did hold almost DraftKings $2 against me, a $20 stock. So yeah, that's in my playbook, man. Shoot, Rivian today, most disappointing stock. It's not going to be Rivian, but wow, opportunity missed on this as we've already hit 70s a couple times before. And look at this, man, comes right. You can go all the way back to the beginning of February and find 70s. So yeah, that sucks. We'll see if that happens tomorrow. And on the same way on the way down, 58, 59. I mean, another good bid area. The only problem is, as the market crashes, you're always looking at, 57, 58s. But again, another good spot. So Rivian tomorrow, definitely on radar as it is pumping right now like crazy. Good volume here on Rivian and some real nice moves. I mean, that doesn't get any cleaner to the downside. Some nice bottoms and then a move up. So yeah, we like Rivian here. $70 tomorrow, 58 on the bid.
So in the morning, it was 3 strikes and it wasn't out. But I'll take 2 strikes and just be out now on Roblox. At least I'm happier with the notion that I gave it to the level that I think made a little bit more sense. But now you're breaking out here too. So it's down to Virgin Galactic. And I just said, like you just said there, you got to have some longs. I looked for AMD. I don't think we're even getting that pullback. So I asked myself, what's the weakest stock in the market today that might actually have failed to break out yet? And even Home Depot is $5 off the low. So there is nothing that, I guess, relatively speaking, I mean, some names did worse today, but Home Depot didn't have terribly bad numbers, but they got beat up really bad this morning. They are SSR. They were down 10% at one point last I checked. At least they got very, very close to it, and then broke back out. So off these lows, the way this market is churning, we're about to get to 14,000 on the NASDAQ. The ES is close to getting green. I mean, Home Depot should have a VWAP run in it. So if there's any kind of a pullback that can be played, I'd add this to the list of names I might try to grab along on a bit of a dip just because you have the covered low of the day. But $5 away from that bottom, forget about it. I mean, we had Facebook long and we gave it up for a winning trade, but that was probably the one at 200 to dig into. And just going to blocks, I know people are talking about this, off of 93. Look at it screaming to the upside. And the reason I don't like block for anything but finding a place to fade it, they still haven't reported yet. So, like it's one thing to say PayPal can make a temporary bottom. I don't love that notion when block, it's still ridiculously expensive multiple going into these earnings. And the high today is like 99.5. Sign me up if it gets to 100. We get $2 up in power hour or $1.50 or so. I'm going to be shorting that top. And it's very different from, say, shorting Roku, which we know what that one has done today. And it's made like you said, it's made its bottom. It's making a run at that high. I wouldn't come back to this as good of a trade as it was earlier, but you're coming into levels like that on block, and we see 100. I'm going to short block in front of 100 to be sure. I'm giving some room to Virgin Galactic, but it's still at that $8 level, the last short that I have on. And just sort of checking back in on the stock that gets ignored almost all the time sometimes is Tesla. It bounces off of 800. It's now rolling back above VWAP as well. So that was weak all morning. At no point, it kind of looked like Home Depot. Like the market would bounce and Tesla would go nowhere. It's getting dragged up as well. So this is one of those rare times where Biden hit the podium and the market decided to go up.
Biden hit the podium. Yeah, well, they had his prepared speech. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Palantir, we're almost out of this name, guys. We did get short, and we were able to get out some at 60. But if this takes out 65, then we're going to be gone. We are short again here on Palantir, and it's no problem. I mean, it'll be a small hit. We're short at 62 now. So if it goes back up to the upside here, break through 65, which is the high. I mean, it's not the high of the day, but it's a level that we're looking at anyways. So if that does hit, you know that I'm going to be out of Palantir, if that can go back to the upside there. So that's just a look that we're looking at. And then honestly, here it comes back down to 61. Do I have more bids? No, I do not. I'm gonna put another one here at 60 just to take this again, 2 cents. I don't like it, but my bid is at 57. It's just, let's see this market turn around here. We like I mean, I like it. I don't know if what you guys are thinking here, but I like this to the downside now. We'll see if it can continue to work. I'm thinking it does, Palantir here, but again, we have that 65 high. It needs to come back to the 50 period. It's not going anywhere as the NASDAQ, though. We just talked about, remember it was down here? 13.7, and I was like, I think we'll probably test 14,000 on that Biden, but there it is right now. Biden comes through and we test 14,000. So let's see. Normally the market doesn't go up on some of that tension, but we'll see what that all means. It looks like he's done now, so we'll wait to see. Kremlin did not watch Biden's speech, apparently, coming through. So I don't know what that means, but not watching his speech may be a bad thing for the U.S. So we'll see about that. But that's Palantir. All right, let's just take it back, take another look here at DWAC. Quickly, DWAC comes through. Where are we? Ooh, that's why people are liking DWAC right now. Okay, yeah, I lost on a 100 punch long. That seems obvious now. But look what's happening here to the upside. A nice move off a 92 break there. So we have a bottom there at 90, 91. Just bottomed out right there. Absorbed the 50 period all the way up. And now we're starting to take off long side here on DWAC as we just touched 96 again. So that's a pretty violent move to the upside. Let's check out CFVI. To me, look, I'm not shell-shocked or anything. I should be. I'm not shell-shocked by DWAC, but CFVI seems to be a little safer of a trade and does move kind of accordingly. So, I mean, down to 13 seems a lot safer on CFVI than any of these things levels right now on DWAC. But there it goes. CFVI trying to go. DWAC must have just pulled back a little bit. Yeah, as CFVI came back down. You see how you can tell that? So, I don't know, just something to look at here. CFVI starting to make some moves.
Yeah, that's a lack of follow through times 10 on DWAC on that 94 break. I mean, you're finally looking for something that's going to try to go here. It does make the volume spike. It just immediately runs into resistance. Like, you would look at this from the morning and say, if it finally breaks that cluster, why not make a run at 100, halfway from 94 to 100? Like, you know, go like $3, go to 97. And that's just what it's been like for DWAC here. So I kind of feel like at this point, forget about it. Like, I'm just going to try and sit on the spread here and capture something, because I don't want this rolling back to the downside and then have to make a decision at VWAP. So I'm going to trim it off. I get up to go to the can and come back and say, okay, well, why is this not coming to 98 if it's going to make a push like this? So, like I said, I'm going to scalp some of it. I still want to try to hold. I don't see why you couldn't get to a 97 or 100, but that's immediately a rollover from that top. It goes to 96 and pulls back. In the meantime, you know, as that now tries to work to the upside, you know, it got Virgin Galactic a couple of times. It's rolled past VWAP, but when in doubt, zoom out. It looks that looks impressive off of those bottoms, but this is what space actually looks like here, right? You know, you do have this lower high at 815, so I'll give it some room. Like I said, plenty of room to the low of the day. I still feel like risk off can be a thing with this one, so I want to try to hold on to this and give it a little bit more room than the other shorts. You know, at the end of the day, I just kind of feel like that one, more than anything else, has a chance to have some true selling. So DWAC's going to try and go here. So hopefully we don't get slapped in the face holding on to the second half of this trade, thinking it can at least retest halfway to 100 at this point. We'll make a decision point if it gets to that 97 and maybe try to take it off there. It's about $1.50 in the money, but I'd like to think after this long consolidation and volume spike, it should have more in it than this. It's been a disappointment the entire day. You could at least make a run to 100. This was trading, you know, 113 pre-market high, 130 earlier in the pre-market, ridiculous prices, and only sold off. This is the first real strong move on volume we've seen.
Okay, how can she slap? Remember, there was some video there. If you guys want to watch that, that was really hot on our floor for a bit. Okay, so right
Where'd
here,
that one come from? I love that video.
Yeah, it's some Indian.
No, but like, what made you think of that?
Because you said something about slapping it out or something like that, and I was like, okay.
I love that video.
Yeah, that's a good one. How could she slap?
She slapped the crap out of that.
I know. Maybe we could find that.
It's a quality front hand there.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, so Palantir again shorted it, and then look where we got some out 60s, some out 57, some out 56, and you can see it started to test high again. So. You know, we will find a short. I'm short Palantir, thinking it would come back to the downside. So far, so good. 2 shorts and a bunch of outs, all lower, but definitely not the money maker that we were hoping for. Brad said, why would I take my wife to an Italian restaurant when she cooks Italian? But thing is, she cooks everything. You could see here, just going on here. Thanks for all the love. Right now, 251 likes to our date night. Some nice little wine there. And then I had carbonara with some pancetta. She had some gnocchi there with an amazing cheese sauce. Was very, very good. Obviously, you have the little nightcaps here. And then I said this yesterday. What are we going to do? Buy or sell? But I said this on Sunday. And then people were like, hey, man, tomorrow the market's not open. I was like, yeah, my bad. There's Squid Games. I like this. Buy or sell. Today, we seem to be very, very confused about that one. And then party in the USA, Miley Cyrus. Shouts out to Miley. What's up to you? Rug pulled on these two for sure. And then yesterday, this is Canadian beach, man. You see, you're on the beach right now.
That's not a beach.
And I'm like, okay, where's my hood? Where's the scarf? Everything like that. There was some dude out here parasailing, but that guy was nuts. We were on the beaches yesterday, so those of you are about Toronto, beaches are pretty cool. There's some art exhibit. My kids are all over that, so that was a little bit of my weekend there. So I
always say the same thing.
Also had a great weekend.
I always say the same thing about beaches. My pops, he's like, you know, you mentioned like, oh yeah, the beaches, or you go like Sauble or Wasaga Beach, local here in Ontario, and he just when I was a kid, he'd turn and look and say, that's not a beach.
No.
You know, he's like, you know, when we go to Antigua, that's a beach. When you go to the islands, that's a beach. And it's like it's hard to live up to, but you take what you can get in Canada. I'll say this much, man. Like if you can have a cold one and enjoy it on any kind of sand, you go ahead and do it. And look, it's you got to do what you got to do to make sure you relax. And these markets are not relaxing at all. So maybe DWAC doesn't care about what the market does, but I kind of feel like if we hold green, it's got to make a power move into that upside. Maybe Virgin Galactic's going to lose. But guess what? I mean, AMD is now gone.
See ya.
So, I mean, we're consolidating at 118. That high is at 119. I'm sort of running out of hope that I'm going to be able to get this bid back here. I'm close to the point that I should just be canceling sort of, because if it does pull back from here, a lot has changed. And you might not want to grab that one. And yeah, David Kyle, Daytona is a big beach. South Beach. That's what I'm talking about, man. South Beach. I spent summers in Miami, Weston, Fort Lauderdale when I was in university, and man, I loved it down there. So that's for real. I got no problems with that. But here in Ontario, obviously, you're not going to get the real deal. It just is what it is. One name that I think, if it's at a good level, I should have been shorting. No, it's not there yet. We talked about Twitter at 34. Like if DWAC's coming to market, Truth Social's coming to market, Twitter coming to the downside on that positive note for them. Well, for Truth Social, I suppose, not for Twitter. Would have been a short. We talked about the 24 level, then didn't trade it. If that one gets to 34 level and didn't short it this morning, if that gets back to 34 and this market wants to continue, then we have something else that I like to short off those highs, and it'll be Twitter. But it's still about 30, 40 cents away from giving me that fill. I should have had this one this morning as well, but there were so many things that set up, you really couldn't have them all.
No, I mean, Twitter, guys, honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with Truth Social, man. That stock has been like, it's good. I mean, obviously, it's a negative aspect for them, but I'm almost thinking that Truth Social can maybe tell Twitter how to monetize something because, yeah, Twitter's been absolutely killed for quite a long time now, and you can see it here. It's like what we said about at the beginning of the show at 3 o'clock, right? Like, just trade the momentum to the downside. I mean, Twitter in the last, oh God, don't tell me my charts will do this again to me on Twitter. What is going on? Okay, let's just go over to something that might work here. That is Palantir still to the downside. We just took another bit out as we almost got stopped out again up here through 1065. So that's the stop out zone. So when it comes back, honestly, to 59 again, I'm gonna take that. See, like I'm really close to getting stopped out again. This market is just, I thought I got stopped out right there. It's just topsy-turvy. So I'm gonna put another bid here. There it is, there it is, there it is. Just took a few more outs there as it's just coming to the down. Palantir wants to go down, guys. It wants to go down. It's just the market is not helping it out, man. It's bouncing around 14,000. Normally, look, I'm fanboy for Palantir. I mean, I got the Palantir hat. Shout out to Prad. It's just right now, I feel like out of all of these stocks, it's pretty high up that 3% here. Battled back. It's just if the market fades, I feel like this barcoding was done on purpose, man. Like it wanted to go down. The futures took off. Then it had to float. So now it can float back in. So this is what I'm thinking about on Palantir. Let's see if it can. Are you short Palantir too, Brad? No, I heard him say let's die already, so I was thinking he was on Palantir there. But let's see if this market can come back in. So far, so good on this, but yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it doesn't want to go down. I always like to check on the king. So let's see what Apple's doing. 165, okay, so that 172, obviously we talked about that the last couple of days, how key. All right, honestly, I got to reset. Any new stock I call up, Neil, I think we just got to clear the cash and just be done with it because
it's one of those.
It's not. It's.
But if you've already pulled it up, it's
peeing
fine.
me off.
Also, too, like when you said I want to check back in the king, I'm like, did Run DMC just walk into the building at some point?
He did not.
No, that didn't happen.
Is you down with the king?
That's a good joint too, as well. So this is actually a little bit ridiculous because you think I would have learned from this the first time, but DWAC, this trade's going to look almost identical to the one this morning. Not a breakout, but trading it off the 87 level, get the scalp out win, and then we end up stopping it out tight when the conditions change. And the same thing happened here. This actually bounced off of 93. I did this twice. It's going to be hard to see. But it actually bounced off this 93.65 2 times and then couldn't get past. I'm like, well, I'm not giving it all the way back to VWAP now if it's going to be that weak. I should have had this break for $2 and said, forget about it. That's all we're going to get. Instead, now I'm looking to see if it's going to hold VWAP back at 92 instead of holding the trade $2 against me.
Come on.
AMD, you're absolutely killing me at this point. Like, why am I not in an AMD long is the one thing I got to figure out. If I can catch Twitter, fair enough. I just look at, I know everyone's looking for long trades. But I mean, I look at this on the NASDAQ, and we're back to that 14,000 level. We just put a strong move in to the upside. So going long something at the top, either it's got a consolidation break on it or it's got its own velocity to the move. I'm just not taking a long at that high. I got to be able to find something as a day trader that I can play off a key level, and that's really just setting up shorts, whether it's sitting inversion galactic or maybe even looking at Twitter like I just pointed out. But AMD from here, like, what am I going to do? I'm still on that bid for now, hoping I can get 116.50, but that's right in the middle of no man's land here. It's not really breaking at 119. I just feel your risk to reward stinks up there at 118 for a long trade. You can certainly have a look at what Roku was doing earlier, and maybe that was worth it after all to get back on that offer. Oh, goodness, that's still in the NASDAQ. That goes back to 128. So, yeah, I should have gone right back to Roku. Like, what am I not getting that trade for? It wicks up to 128, puts the same wick high that it did this morning, and is consolidating already. So maybe that was one to get back into.
Yuck, man. We'll go fail. I mean, it's a money because we're back into the short. But what happens is right here on Palantir takes out the high, and then we get stopped out, which is fine. It's still fine because we took the majority of out, but then we had to reshort it as it comes right back down again. So, yeah, that sucks, man, because we did have that pretty much dead to right there, I feel like, on Palantir. Maybe not, but that sucks. Like, you hate to get stopped out, and then it comes right back in. So that is what happened to me here on PLTR. So that sucks. But we do have another bid. Oh, I got to cancel my Facebook bid. We do have another bid at 58 here, where we just touched 56. So maybe we can get back to the downside. We have reshorted this, and there it is on a nice little move down. We did reshort this at 63. So now Palantir, a positive stock for us today, but frustrating because it just wicked out and we had to reload. So like that out is at 66, and then we had to take them back at 63. So give up 3 pennies there when we should not have, as now we have to talk over everybody.
You know what's cool, though?
And this is what's going to happen here.
No, I was going to say, we talked about this, how Greg is going to be doing some hiring back on the floor.
Right.
But you actually hear some voices around here. I mean, I know Justin's hanging around with Trader Prad. But we have 2 traders. It's only 2 for now, but the first 2 back, existing traders on the floor. So shout out to Brandon and Luca, who are both on the floor here today. I don't know if you can actually see them. You probably can't even see their heads, but it's going to get back to what it is, man, which is a little bit rowdy. I got, by the way, Virgin Galactic back below 8. The market reversing off 14,000 on the NASDAQ. Yeah, I actually added to the short position here, just thinking how are they not going to sell this off going into the close. But you could pick anything that's starting to roll over. I'm not going long at AMD. If anything, I'll try my hand to grab a long in front of VWAP there. But Facebook just made a bit of a turn as well. And it just got back to like 203. That wick is really annoying. Got to clean that up. But back to 203, and VWAP is trying to bounce off of. I don't like that to go long as much as I do AMD. That was relatively strong all day and is up 3.5%. Facebook's still down. Hasn't really broken that downward trend. To me, it just bounced off 200 because it's 200 and the market caught a bottom. So I don't want to read too much into it until it can actually consolidate, maybe make a 2 days worth of all. This thing bounced off 200, maybe holds 200 again tomorrow. breaks out at 210, something like that. Like actually, let's 2 or 3 days in a row, let's hold a level on Facebook and show that we're making a consolidation that we can break out from before I want to sign this one off as breaking the downward trend, which it's shown no signs of doing. You can still day trade it, and there's plenty of good day trades here in Facebook to be had, but the trend reversal I don't think has happened. I'll say the same thing with Square, which the market just turned. Yeah, Square never came to 100. To me, that would have been one of the easier names to say, hey, if it gets up to 99, that's an obvious short. You had Friday afternoon highs at 100. I mean, you had this morning getting to 99.5. Any chance it extends to that price today, I think you can short that one. It just might not even get there. So it could just be me and Virgin Galactic down to the close as that one starts to fall back into these lows.
Me, myself, and I here as we go. That's sometimes what I feel like. Look at Palantir to the downside right now. Finally did through 56. I mean, I'm expecting it to crash even more than this, but who knows, man, what we want to do. Brendan saving the day. What's up, bud?
Robin Burger, guys. RRGB, one that has popped up in the past on a bit of a short squeeze. There is a bit of a short percent on this one, just a heads up, but you can see a big volume spike there on decent pop up to 18. Comes right back down. I haven't seen anything on it, but a heads up on RRGB. There's also that C change, SEAC, trying to rally this afternoon. S4 filing confirms it looks like that Triller merger going to go through, but RRGB trying to rally here.
All right.
That's a decent move. I saw a few people talk about this name, and I looked at it and said, oh, it's still at $1.20. I actually didn't realize that it had a low of 102. So that actually was a pretty decent move on C change. But I do know that 1 quarter level from last week, and yeah, it has yet to break that lower high at about $1.25, let alone those 138. So it's getting off $1, which is always pretty significant. Anytime you have this kind of a stock that makes a low at that even dollar range, it emboldens some longs there because it's such an obvious stop level that once it gets held, well, you know, if you have a 115 or a 120, you have an obvious out and just no reason to sell and maybe give it that home run hero style trade. Market continuing to reject 14,000 as a level on the NASDAQ. And that does mean the one short that we have on. I am now on the bid of Virgin Galactic. I wasn't bidding until it started that rollover. And I just like that previous cluster where we were before. That was a 786 top into the bottom at about 775. So that's where all my bids are resting as it starts to roll over here on Virgin Galactic. And if it takes out the low, guess what? I want to hold some shares in case we take out the low. If you are tuning in for the first time, we are day trading, so Sean and I have about 35 minutes, and then we do have to get flat by the end of the day.
What?
And in 25 minutes, we will have those imbalances.
Hey-o.
I don't know if Virgin Galactic's going to be on there, but they do report, so you don't want to write anything off there. I would expect you could have a few interesting ones. Maybe in particular, some of the oil and energy names could be in there given the volatility that we've had. Just a thought.
No diggity.
No doubt.
That's right.
I like the way
yeah, I like the way, like a lot of stuff you do.
You know me and Blackstreet.
Yep, no diggity, no doubt. Okay, Blackstreet, yeah, that's your favorite R&B band, or was, I don't know.
Oh, no, is, man.
Is.
Teddy
Still
Riley.
Is. Still is.
I mean, just like what, Blackstreet, that's my thing, man. That's actually, I saw Blackstreet, SWV and Guy, and that was one of my favorite concerts of all time. People are like, who is Guy, and what are you even talking about?
Who's that guy? I don't even know who Guy is either.
They're more like late 80s.
Late 80s. Okay. At least we are not aging ourselves.
I know,
but
right?
Or are we? Okay. Palantir. Finally, yes, sir. We'll go spin the wheel on this one. It just sucks that we had to give up 3 cents on getting stopped out. But this is the strategy that we have all over the place, and you guys know that. And that is this top wick strategy. And when you see a wick off top like that, where you really get an extended. I mean, this one actually, I thought there was good volume here, but there really wasn't. It took out the day's high and then completely came back in, like hard, right? And so, I mean, by hard, I just mean like it hit it, and then tanked 3 or 4 pennies. So to me, it ran into that resistance on the high side. So that's why we reshorted it. And obviously, we get help here from the market. If we take out this 50 period, then look out. I'm excited for that move on the way back down now for Palantir. But now look, now we're starting to go back up. And look how fast Palantir just retraces back up to the upside. So definitely something to look out for here as Palantir seems to be pretty spicy for us here today. But good outs, man. We just took it out back at the 50 period. Only 30 minutes left to go. I am nervous about TDOC. We talked about that, although I'm not going to trade anything into earnings. AMD up nicely today, up to 117. Let's check back in on FB again. The only name that we're negative on today is going to be DWAC, and like that sucks because of where it is right now. We'll go back on that as well. But there's a nice move high side for Facebook, and we're just dancing. I think this is probably worth a short, but maybe it's worth a bounce. Like, I want to see the NASDAQ take this 50 period out. That's 13,920. And then I think we can hit the Facebook short, because Facebook right now is underneath the 50 period, underneath VWAP. So that's good. The momentum's to the downside. There's no doubt about that. The trend changed upside. So I like it to the short now for Facebook. And I might just take it with a tough stop here, like 65.70. Let's do that. Let's take Facebook short here and see about a tank into the close. So Facebook short, 30 cents worth of room only, guys. New position, Facebook short.
And speaking of one from the morning, which I haven't even looked back on, and I probably should have, Macy's getting a bit off that bid. And the number I'm going to watch is 25 even, obviously because it's 25 even, but not just that. You go back to Thursday and Friday, and you had a 25 bottom. I'm talking like 25 clean as the bottom. And then earlier this afternoon at 1 o'clock, you had a 25 resistance level as well. It's anything to have the report that they did and be so relatively strong and reverse it the way Macy's has, that is an extremely bearish move. So like it needs to break 25 to convince me there's anything but that. And if I see any kind of size, I want to have like a 90, 95 short on Macy's on a pop. So Virgin Galactic, I love. We're going to have that one. Oh. AMD, like give me a break, AMD. Like it just...
Facebook went the other
guarantees
way.
Get a one. I thought just now in that pullback from 14,000, we're getting VWAP. We're getting 116.50 in. And of course, we just bounced, and now we're running away from that price again. So being patient is not working for me on AMD because I might have missed out on that dip, but I just don't like chasing it this far away from the low. At least I had VWAP in this breakout at 116.50 to work with if I got my price. At this point, I'd just be chasing a move, which is a good way to essentially court disaster.
Okay, so that was fun. Stamp a fail, like that didn't last too long. There, we just took a baby position there on Facebook. It doesn't even hurt. It doesn't matter. I was more watching Palantir, and I was like, what? That just ripped up. So yeah, there goes Facebook. And again, we should have, you know what? Like honestly, all we're really doing is learning every day, which I think is important. And I just said like, I don't want to take Facebook until the NASDAQ goes below the 50 period. It didn't even come close. Oh, it did come close, but it doesn't go below. And then look what Facebook does, takes off. So that was a quick 30-cent hit. And you know it's not going to be like in a crazy serious position if we're really just looking to take 30-cent hit on Facebook. But anyways, still to the upside, there it goes. And while that was happening, we got some 55s on Palantir. So again, it's only 8 cents, 10 cents, but look at all these outs, man. 3 ins, a bunch of outs, good trading here on PLTR. What else can we look at though, man? Like what's XOM doing? And I know XOM, I don't like looking at, I mean, those of you that watch the show, I don't really trade oil names, but it's because I'm watching the NASDAQ too much and I'm too like obsessed with what's going on over there to really focus on oil. But I guess if you take out this 76.70 or so on XOM, that could be nice. Look at it ride the 50 period all the way down before finally breaking and then starting to move back to the upside. So XOM definitely trending to the upside here for anybody looking at oil names. But wow, man, here comes the market pulling back down. Let me guess, Facebook's tanking here. Let's see. We need that to break. Is Microsoft maybe setting up a little bit better than Facebook? At least Microsoft isn't at the day's high. We have some outs here if we need them. But let's just wait to see what happens with the futures now.
I bet your firm's a great short.
Yeah, the market finally starting to give back. So there it is. Yes, sir. Pigs get slaughtered. I don't care what the saying is, but there it is. Eey, that's brutal. As Palantir now 12 cents in the money. Hell yeah, as we go WTF. That couldn't have happened earlier. Come on, Palantir.
I mean, why not? We're going to try and do a little bit of this, which is, and I sort of said jokingly there under my breath, I don't know if you heard, like, yeah, I'm sure a firm's a good short. But what I meant by that was just try to stick to what's been relatively weak. So what is the last thing I'm holding on to and just put a capitulation candle in? That's going to be that Virgin Galactic, Space now rolling over as well. And I have jokingly was saying that on a firm, but it also made a big break there at 37 and through VWAP. Now, I'd be chasing that one if I got short at 37, but right back off of 38. the same level I like this morning. That's kind of why I'm kicking myself not going back over into a firm. And that's what you got to do. I saw someone in the chat saying, you know, Sean, learning after 20 years, I'm not going to beat myself up after 2. That's dead on. You never stop learning the market. Want to know why? Because the market doesn't stop changing. I mean, the market is not even remotely today what it was when I started out. Level 2s were different. The rules were different. Like, I remember Super Montage. You're like, what the heck is that? There was no Reg NMS. Gateways could trade through one another. Like, if ARCA would be quoting one price and Island or NASDAQ, whatever, would be quoting a different price. Like, that's what we started out on. And so things are always changing on you. There were no algos that were predatory when we started out. So you're always learning, man. And if you stop learning.
Except for these hands.
Well, that's
some predatory hands.
They just get older, though.
Yeah, now I have arthritis. So, yeah, we don't.
Don't even joke about that. You know the carpal I get.
I'm going to have arthritis in my knee quick time right now. I've already had major knee surgery due to rugby. That's one thing. Although my kids play hockey, like, what's safer? But yeah,
I won't tell that story.
If you guys have SOs, if you know about SOs.
I know SOs.
Then that's the Super Montage. So, okay, there goes Palantir. Look at this dip, man. We talked about it getting right back into the 40s. So, hallelujah. Hit the alarm because your boy, the People's Trader, is in the building, and that's the trade that we talked about. We shorted Palantir. Now we have 17 cents in the money. It's pretty much the whole move down. Obviously, we wish we still had more of this name, but we still got some on, so we're okay. A nice bid there at 46. To the downside goes Palantir right now. So, man, that was... we should have had a little bit better luck on that name. But again, happy. You know, you can't say happy, joy. If you know where that's from, throw that in the chat. Happy, joy.
They better know that one.
They may not know that. Peloton to $20. Did I miss that?
Disappointment will be high if they don't know that. Peloton, what? No.
No, it can't.
Peloton's still at 29, man.
29er.
You guys, see, that's the thing. You guys, if we haven't looked at a stock and you throw a number like that, the first thing we're going to think of is, no, man, I was looking at that at 29. You'll freak me out. Actually, I didn't find a trade on Peloton today. Maybe if you had 30s, that's about the only thing you could have had there. AMD, no, come on, I'm right here. I'm right here, man.
He's right here, guys.
I'm right there on the bid. Like that's ridiculous. It's consolidating off of 116.75. So this would be it. Like if it makes this long trade off of VWAP, fair enough. We knew where we liked it. You know, this is ridiculous.
This is a ridiculous.
I'm just gonna bid a little, whatever. If I have to pay an extra 15 cents, at least I'm going to be into this trade. It's not that much, but overall, the market is pulling back. I've already got the short that I feel like should be relatively safe going into the end here. But if there's something that's going to consolidate and make a break back up and this market tries to retest 14,000, AMD's been strong all day long. The chip names have made a bit of a rally, but it was AMD that was up to begin with. It was AMD we started with. And I had that 116.50 breakout price that we can try to hold here. So I'm into it. Finally. It only took about, 90 minutes into the show. I get into that AMD trade.
Not bad. Okay, so did we just get a piece of Palantir there or not? Yes, we did. Okay, just going through 49. Okay, so we did take a piece of Palantir there. I was getting a little nervous as, again, like I told you, and you know what? Whoever said that, I'm glad that Neil pointed that out about how, like, I started in 2002, so literally 20 years now. Got to fix my bio. I think it says 19 years. It's always about learning. Like, I've added new lines to my charts since we started the show. I've figured out what stocks, like if you watch me in the morning, way more active. Yeah, that's right. Way more active in the morning than we are right now. Like I'm trying to find key levels. We're trying to make the right trades. I'm at the highest spot we've been at all day today. It's been a very, very good day for me. And one misstep, that's it. Look at Macy's as well. Like you want to talk about the sticky note today. The sticky note is awesome. Macy's long, AMD long, DraftKings short. Nah, that hasn't been good. Palantir, we talked about that one as well. And then we wanted to look at Facebook. So some good names on here. But look at Macy's, man. Hit this early and then out of the way. Like you can sort of tell when these lines start to come together a little bit to the downside, there goes Macy's. And honestly, that 24 bottom, sometimes you just wait for those. Just like Neil had, it was Facebook off that long down there at 200. Like you can just be patient and wait. Like we're down here too. We're covering shorts, but again, like coming down into this level, trust me, like when a Facebook opens at 207, it's like you don't need to trade it just because it's Facebook. Let it do these dances, man. find some levels, let it break. Like, there's a short on this break. We waited until that to 201.50 to short it. It goes all the way down to 215 cents before ripping back up. So, like, you don't even need to hit your longs or your shorts. Wait for key levels. And honestly, man, it's like, these are the little things that I'm learning every single day and trying to get bigger and better at. And it's just like how we called Palantir when it was up here. It's like, where's my target? Has to be in here. So learning a little bit better. Obviously, when we're short 63 and my outs are 67, like, that's 4 cents. We're in the money 16. That's a 4-to-1. So we hit the siren. That's the kind of stuff we're looking at. Take out trades at 2-to-1, 3-to-1. But now that you're at 4-to-1, it's like, take some out. I only have, 30% less than that left on this trade, but still, hold a little bit more. We always got to learn a little bit better. Neil, only 14 minutes left here, man.
And to imbalances, not to. We say that all the time. If you watch this show long enough, you'll realize for us, the first thing we talk about is 350 when those imbalances come out for the closing auction, because they can signal a bit of a shift in the market. They can turn a move, they can accelerate a move, individual names will start to move as well. Why am I looking at a 15-minute of space? I got that first target. I was waiting for that channel at about 86, down to 775. We finally got our first fill there, so I'm going to try to hold on to it. Of course, that's coming to the downside. Maybe AMD's not going to sort of continue its move up. I am trying to get a little bit out for a scalp trade. If I'm giving it to that 50 level, that's not a ton of risk. So I do want to make sure I'm getting something at that 1-to-1, because the high of the day, to me, is unlikely to get broken at this point, right? AMD's not taking out high of day if we're below 14,000. Like, that's ridiculous. It's simply not going to happen. So if there is support at this level, I want to take something out at that 1-to-1 ratio. You already went over Facebook there. Just to go over Roblox, because that's the one I tried twice to the short side, and it's still on the NASDAQ, or the New York, sorry. I tried it twice to that short side. You'll see it break either time, but I was playing off those levels from the morning that were so good. Unfortunately, it does break 49, so even if I had gone a third time, I'm likely to have been stopped out, and then now you're going to see it pull back in. So, you can be patient with your entry point, and sometimes it's not even about waiting for the price. It can be allowing it to test the level. How does it react when it gets to that level? And if it rejects the level, then jump back into the same trade that you liked at the price you liked it before, but after it's shown you a rejection. A lot of times I'll favor that for the short trade. I just figured with the market testing 14,000, I wanted short on the front end of some of these names. That was wrong here on Roblox, but obviously you have to pick your approach ahead of time. Hindsight is 20/20 every single time. And if AMD stops out, which it might here, I don't mind, because at least we waited to go long in front of that 116.50. The Virgin Galactic short, I feel like I'm going to hold that into those rebalances. Another name that we ignored here most of the day, SoFi announced they're buying, I forget who they're buying, a 1.1 billion all stock purchase. I tried defending 10.50. That didn't work. It bounced one time, and then very shallow bounce, and then dropped again. This is approaching 10 even. You can see since it broke 12, it's been some acceleration to the downside, but 10 even, you're in fresh territory here, and 10 possibly in play for SoFi tomorrow. That would be one of those levels that, like a 200 on Facebook, there might just be a bid worth jumping in front of for a day trade. As a day trader, sometimes those are the good trades because it's long 1 or 2, and you know what you're doing when 10 breaks. You're just getting right out of it. So we'll look for that tomorrow. Not trying to ignore SoFi, but I wasn't really looking at the short today unless it was right at that open, and we did miss that, Brennan.
Another one that could be interesting tomorrow, possibly. Ralph Lauren, guys, back above this 130.5. The initial move back higher did get back above 130 and then 130.5 on that report about LVMH that came out much earlier today. Possibly a little more interested, or a little more of a deal could be made for RL.
But correct me if I'm wrong. That's just chatter that there's interest. Like, there was nothing. Like, no one will say anything about prices. Yeah, Brendan's nodding his head. And a lot of times you might get speculation and they'll throw out a number. Oh, like X billion dollars or this price, or they started talks at this time. And without a lot of concrete action, that's why you did have a rather sharp pullback. I mean, it pulled back like almost $10 here in RL. And we have to watch this one tomorrow, because when there's speculation like this, you will get an update. Whether it's from LVMH themselves, or maybe Ralph Lauren will actually comment it as well. But we're 10 minutes to those imbalances. AMD for now is holding up, which is good, because our long staying within the money, holding consolidation here. Our short in Virgin Galactic, at least for now, looks still good as well. So we've got one long, one short, one way or the other. I mean, if the market extends in either direction, then we can sort of hang on, stop one out at a good level and understand that's going to lose, and then maybe the other one is going to be the winner for us, or maybe both work. You absolutely don't know. But in 9 minutes, we are going to be finding out for sure. We talked about DraftKings a little bit as I want to say it was a frustrating trade. It probably was. But the afternoon, the afternoon trade for me on DraftKings, I guess in some ways this should have been a reversal, and I accidentally got short because I took some profit out and never adjusted my stop. So I got some long. I accidentally got long when it broke out that top. And whenever that happens, I'm just going to get out. In hindsight, that looks dumb. But to me, once it broke that fresh low, I just said to myself, it's got to be a short, at least for today. And when you look at a level like that breaking, it's also a rejection of that breakdown. And maybe I should have looked at that and said at some point it's a long. I don't like it. To me, if it breaks 1950 or 20, that's a clean break of that capitulation. If it puts a double bottom in, holds that 1750 one more time, and then tries to break out, that would be a little bit more support. And that's why I didn't like the DraftKings long. It's not a very dirty long, as a matter of fact. AMD looks like it's going to stop out at any point here. This market's heading southbound. Virgin Galactic should be heading to the low of the day.
Yeah, buddy. And right now we're in a nice little win here with PLTR, the only name that we have on. We'll wait to see what this imbalance wants to do. NVIDIA right now to the downside for sure, down to 235 again. Much weaker today than AMD, unless AMD just turned red. I don't think it did. No, AMD's still up 2.5%. NVIDIA down 0.4% today. So on a 1 minute chart, you're seeing NVIDIA just much weaker than AMD, trying to go down. That should have been something to look at there if you were interested in that. But a nice move to the downside here for NVIDIA, taking out 235 now downside. The imbalances, man, I mean, there it is. Okay, let's just take a quick look on Facebook as Palantir down now. Nicely done, 15 cents in the money. We're bidding 41s on Palantir. Almost came in. Look at the futures now, and now look at Facebook. You see what I'm talking about? That breaks down, and then now Facebook is like, see you later, as the NASDAQ starting to break down. We should have waited. A little more patience should have been had there for this Facebook trade. But again, good thing we did have the patience, because, I mean, I would have probably got out at 204 anyways if that broke. So nicely to the downside here. There goes Facebook. Now, the only trade that we have on short is Palantir. So not great. I mean, obviously we wish we would have had some more there other than just Palantir, but so far so good on that short. But Facebook down there, new lows here for Facebook, maybe coming in. So let's wait. Not new lows, but watch out for that 200 level.
How have I not used this one? Because the context of what's going on as well, riding the bear.
Right.
How have we not used the riding the bear? I mean, you've got, like, everyone knows that famous video, or not video, Photoshop of Putin riding the bear. So why not use ours?
Yes.
Because that's the short that's going to come in. So I'll show you what Virgin Galactic is doing. But hey, AMD, we like the level. We took the shot. It consolidated off of it. So it showed me signs by consolidating this long when the market was looking weak that it was probably a good level. And that's how you can tell. Like, if I see that same setup again, I'd probably take it one more time. It managed to hold up pretty long. So if the market makes a turn there, I'm not predicting where the market is going. I'm saying if the market can bounce, this is the one I like, risk to reward. And I think that actually was borne out here. So, AMD is going to end up being a loser on this particular trade. We'll still be slightly up on it because of this morning, but it is one of those things where the market heads southbound, you hang on to your shorts and profit on them. The longs that you went and found are not going to have worked out, and every single short, I bet you, from earlier today is going to be a good one, just because I got to see where they're at. Oh no, Home Depot holding up. So it was, I'll zoom out so you can really see what happened to Home Depot today. This was trading off of 342 was the level I wanted to be shorting in the pre-market. Home Depot's at 316 now, and that's $5 or $4.50 off of its low of the day. So even after that bounce, Home Depot is still getting trounced.
Yeah, these guys are getting excited now. The futures, I don't know, they're trying to go here. Just to check back on DWAC, still 91.50. They're on the bid. So 91.50 on the bid here for DWAC. And we'll see here. I mean, it's not on the bid, but 91.50 is where we're at. It did dip down as low as 90, so you have 89 and change, 88 and change down here, 86. So I still like that 86 level for a bid. We'll wait to see if that can come through. I guess it's going to be at this point tomorrow, but 86 is another one of those levels, and that's why this morning, man, I like that 100 break. I thought like, okay, we're above 86. 86 has been a problem right in here for DWAC this whole time, right here. 86 goes back there, in there, there again, 86, 86, 86. So, I mean, 86 is not my favorite number, but it's one that we've said a whole bunch of times. And I mean, it's like that's going to be support now. So I'm just going to play off that. So if you're in DWAC short, something like that, I would put a bid near 86 to get out of some of that. Or if you're looking for a long, why not take it and then use, I guess, 80 or 78, 79 as your ultimate bottom. So that's just some areas of concern there for DWAC coming through. It doesn't look like Facebook will retest. What is Macy's doing? That's not going to retest either right now. But with only 3 minutes to go, the future's starting to dip down in now. So watch out here into the close. The boys are getting excited, thinking that some of these shorts are going to print. So let's see what happens here into the NASDAQ close. As we just danced around, I mean, I can't do it any better. I mean, 14,000. We called it when it was down here. It comes up, it hits it, and turns right around. So tomorrow, I think we'll trade the Qs if we're dancing around that 14K number.
Yeah, so at this point, like you're either in a short that you like and trying to just capture profit here, or you're done at the point of trying to catch longs, right? Like you're not going long off bottoms with only 3 minutes till the imbalances come out for the closing auction and with only 10 minutes to go day trading. So, this is going to be the last step here. I'll be curious to see where AMD tries to check back up, and we'll see what happens with the imbalances. I'm going to choose to watch a few names that have been moving here today. AMD, obviously, in the chip space. I also want to be looking at Roblox on the off chance, and then Home Depot just in the off chance, of course, as well, that it makes a power move. The other one worth looking at for my last level two is going to be DWAC out of default. It tried to make that breakout at 94. If it retests those lows, as Sean mentioned, it's had some support here earlier. So it's got some room to make a decision. I'd love to see where support is so that if there's a breakdown after what was a nothing burger and there's a further breakdown, I would rather it be off of a key level. So if it holds some support at 86, 87, that might be the level to look at here tomorrow. AMD still relatively strong as we have 2 minutes to imbalances. And the SPY, by the way, I was sort of just saying, oh, come on, don't do this to me. Load.
Load.
Come on, just show. There we go. I wanted to save the SPY just watching VWAP break here. So if you see some of the boys get excited, that little rollover in the futures, if you're shorting the market and looking at the futures, that was a good one there as we head back towards these lows. Market looking weak, Brendo.
The President Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, just making some comments. It would appear live. I'm not 100% certain on that, but some of that selling came in when he started speaking there. So heads up on the market, guys.
Tommy Boy, when it's Zelensky Auto Parts.
I knew. Okay,
Dan Aykroyd. So
I knew there was
that.
something I was.
Yeah, I love that. I love that show. I think I got to show that. I don't know if it's appropriate for my kids. I'm going to rewatch it because we need to watch. We need to watch them. Tommy Boy up in there, as I like that one. I think it's okay, to be honest with you, as long as it's not Bruno or anything like that. Because yeah, my kids just continue to blast everything Bruno related in the car, and it's starting annoying. So yeah, we'll get them on something else next time. But okay. Palantir does have a sale here, a sell. We'll see what happens. There's only now 50 seconds before we get out with the imbalances. So yeah, we're definitely trying to pay attention to that right now on Palantir. So we'll wait to see what's going to happen. But that's an imbalance right now. As a sell side, it's from 9:30. So all of these don't mean anything in about 30 seconds. And just so you guys are aware, it's 9:49. It's 3:49:40, 41. 42. So we have 18 seconds now until these imbalances come out. We're still short Palantir, 1063 from up here, hoping for a flush back down. So we're going to watch to see if Palantir gives us that. But right now the market is getting ready for an imbalance to come out. It should pop a little bit. Well, not should, but if Palantir comes out a sell, it should go to the downside. Here it comes. There it is. We are now out. So a big move to the downside as the future is still starting to go down. Pfizer sell, Intel sell, Microsoft sell. Palantir, of course, a buy, but that's starting to hit to the downside right now as we are starting to crash lower. AMD, a big sell as well, down to 115, guys. Palantir, let's go. We'll put a bid out. We'll take 20 cents on Palantir, guys.
Yeah, look, Apple looks like the biggest one at 1.3 to sell. That's a million on Apple. But this is what just happened. Remember, we were showing you guys the overall market. This is a SPY dropping when those numbers came out. The market absolutely tanking. I took some more shares out of Virgin Galactic because it was not on there, and it did almost no move there. I'm actually on the bid. We got some time to get out of this, and guess what's back? Facebook 200 very much back into play here as the market rolling back over. So some acceleration on those imbalances. Like I said, Apple ended up being the biggest one. So what I anticipated looking at, yeah, not a heck of a lot going on there. Oh, goodness, I try to pull up Apple, and it's going to do this. So, I mean, Apple 1.3, it's likely to pair off, but it put a bit of a break. It broke VWAP. It's going to look the same as a SPY chart, obviously, but that is the leading imbalance to the downside. It's pairing off a little bit here. Now Pfizer is actually going to be the largest one. Even Microsoft is a million to sell, so it is just everything.
Yeah. A negative day here, obviously starting to go to the downside. And yes, sir, we'll go, yeah, buddy, we're not like that, but there it goes to the downside finally. Palantir, we actually got a 44 bid there. We're going to hold out and see if we can get something down here, man, like 37, 38. You just mentioned Facebook was in play. Let's, so 201 again, it is in play. Obviously to the downside right now comes FB right now. Watch out. I don't know. I mean, the volume's picking up here on the NASDAQ, as you guys could see a little. Well, you can't see there, but you could see a little bit. So Facebook is starting to pick up to the downside. Isn't it crazy, guys, that we were short right there on Facebook and then got stopped out literally 2 minutes later, and then the tank comes? It just goes to show you, and like I said about learning, the market is just about timing. There's really nothing else. I mean, we can all hit the keys, buy or sell. It's all about timing. And if you wait for certain things to happen, you will be rewarded. So patience today for me has been a virtue and has been super, super key. So there it is, man. Yeah, we're up on the day and pretty happy with it. No word yet from the Kremlin or from Ukraine or from the US. I think it's all going to be status quo. So we'll see tomorrow night, man. I wouldn't hold oil or any of these equities overnight. Like, honestly, if you come in tomorrow and somehow Putin's come out and said, okay, we'll err on the side of diplomacy, I don't know if that's going to happen, but this market, trust me, it has a bid under it, and this thing could rally like crazy. Or go the other way, Brendan. I know that's an either-or thing there, but I just think swing trading, oil trades off the table until this gets sorted out. What's up?
Yeah, going to be an interesting week here as this plays itself out over the next couple of days anyways. We'll see what happens. But right back to... well, almost anyways, day lows here. While we have a minute, let's take a look at what's coming up tonight and tomorrow morning, guys, as far as earnings. Still a few names on there to get through.
So the only thing that we know is that is reporting that isn't on that list is Teladoc. But everything else,
it has to be.
No, it is there.
One. I don't know what the
it is. No, it's there. Like. It's right there. We missed that this morning. Anyways,
I mean, Toll Brothers even we missed. I feel like
Lowe's. After what happened to Home Depot
is that
today,
new bank
if we're not looking at Lowe's, I know Virgin Galactic. We've already talked about that, but Lowe's, that's going to be a big one. NU, that has to be new bank. What other NU is there? Yeah, new holdings. So that should be another one worth watching. Palo Alto, we talked about that in the cybersecurity space, but I don't know, man. If we're looking at this, it's going to be about those key levels. So you might see me jump back into some Roblox, Facebook. Just go to what works, man, and the levels that work. And there's no way I will. If I don't look at a Rivian chart tomorrow morning before the open, then I deserve to be slapped, right?
Because someone just said SoFi is reporting.
Today?
Can we double check that, Ms. V? Because if that is true, then I didn't see that on the list. And honestly, SoFi reporting to me is a monster thing. So we'll wait to see if SoFi reports, because honestly, you may want to just put on a short. Like SoFi is not going to report good numbers. You could play this back tomorrow when they beat like crazy. But I don't know, man. A lot of these Kathy Woodshed stocks have been having this happen to them. SoFi right now pushing all-time lows on SoFi 1st. Today. So what's up, Brendo?
Sorry, guys, it was SoFi you were asking about?
Yeah.
It's March 1st.
March 1st, yeah.
March 1st, okay. I'm not asking about it. Someone said on the chat here,
yeah, it's March 1st.
SoFi reports tomorrow. So thanks for that, March 1st.
Yeah,
a
okay,
week
there you go.
until we see. I mean, let's hope SoFi is north of $10 in a week. But I mean, you're at 10.20 right now. Who knows where we're going for there? We may just get out of this Palantir, man. It's 3.55,
Oh, yeah, it is 3.55.
and it's down to 10.46. So Palantir, so far so good on this trade, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to take up the last of the Virgin Galactic. It's 3.55. So
Yeah,
we're
go
running
for
out
it.
of time. And the market bounced a little bit there because you get some imbalances. Like they start to pair off at 55 and 58. And Frank Jones, I saw you in there in the chat. I love the comment because what he said was, Affirm has been my best short. You just have to be patient with it. Yes, stick to what works. If you're making, I remember, I forget who it was. Maybe it was a trader formerly known as Jude Fernando in our chat who would be on Moderna every single day when that was falling. Or if it's a firm for you, who cares, man? If it works, just keep doing it till it doesn't. And it's in a downward trend. The trend is your friend. That's what Sean was talking about with swing trades. It applies to this as well. And you had to be patient with it because ultimately you had to wait for it to get to that 38 price. And it was gold every single time it's gotten there the last 3 sessions, well, late on Thursday. But every time it's gotten there, you wait for it to get to that level. I showed zero patience with Affirm, so I'm happy to show you me bungling it. And I'm glad you got that one and go right back to that well. Tomorrow, Frank, why not? As long as it works, you go do what works for you. And I'm happy to see that every single time. You know, traders just have to use the information in front of you, which is you trading your results and what happens in the market. That's your data, man. Like, that's your lifeblood. So if you're not taking it and then advancing yourself based on that action and learning something every single day, well, then you're missing out on the opportunity. So good for you on Affirm. I know I'll be looking at it tomorrow out of morbid curiosity. I'm curious to see what happened. Or at least I know what happened to Home Depot today. But it didn't go back to those lows. When the market pulled back, Home Depot manages to resist those lows. But if you're a shareholder in Home Depot or you're looking to buy it, you haven't dodged that bullet because Lowe's still has to report. If that goes poorly, well, there's potentially further downside.
Yeah, more follow through coming. I gotta jam out of here almost right at 4 o'clock. My kid has belt testing today for karate.
Oh, okay.
So
for a second, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, he's going from yellow belt to orange belt. So fingers crossed on that. And then eventually he'll get up to Lucas's level of black belt.
Yeah.
Right? And so eventually
At the level he's at now, he could take Prad, though.
Oh, he could take, yeah, Prad. You've already saw Prad's face before. Obviously, he has
oh, man.
You know, it's very, very easy to get this guy. So my 10-year-old would deal with Prad, but I don't want that. You know, Prad's had enough, so we'll wait on that.
You know that's cold, right?
It's cold as ice. You're the one that said he could take Prad. Is what you said there.
Huh?
There we go. He knows. He knows. Look, Lehman Brothers fired this dude, okay, already? So risk management, Lehman Brothers. All right, Brad, you can unhide now, but thanks for that one. And yeah, so good luck there and going to orange belt. So I got to fly from here because my other daughter's at gymnastics and she has a competition next week that I'm also trying to go to.
That's good, man. Competitions are back. Activities are back. That's
it's
what
great.
I love.
It's fantastic. Okay, and I learned today about Palantir. Look, we don't have to trade your book. You know, obviously I'm long Palantir, but you could see it comes up to VWAP there after being weak all day. Comes up, we hit it to the short side, and just cash money paid off for that one. And it's not weed stock, it's Palantir.
Still cracking up over the
yeah, what is going on with CGC right now as well? Oh my God, $7? Like, down another 7%. I said you might as well go to your broker, ask for the stock certificate, light it up, because honestly, man, that's about the only high you're gonna get from this stock. CGC, downside, man, $7. Thanks for loading charts, but down to $7 again. When that thing was 9 like 2 days ago on that upgrade, and it was Cantor Fitzgerald, yeah, I wonder what they were doing. Down 7% now today, CGC after just catching upgrades. Good luck on that one.
But you know what, man? In absolute hindsight,
That's right.
KHC was definitely the trade today. And that's just, look, man, there's an inside joke for ours,
I didn't
and
even
rest in peace.
Yes,
but
exactly.
hindsight is the best way to look at the market.
look at
Graph Hines,
KHC.
5% up, and it's going to close on highs of the day. So you want something that's bullish. There it is, man. Those consumer staples have been banging because I know we're talking all day about Russia and Ukraine and what's going on in Europe, but the bigger thing in 2022 is the Fed, interest rates, and inflation. So that's why those staples still look pretty good. And I can't believe I didn't make this reference once. But that's essentially the same plaid that Ice Cube wore on Friday in the first one.
Yeah, because
I knew I liked it. I knew I liked it, but that's the Ice Cube one. So there we go. Miss V's on the bell.
Only 10 seconds to go. Yeah, we're gangsters.
Oh, no, she's not. What the heck?
Oh, yes,
Tony.
sir. It is Tony.
Tony.
Let's go over there. Only 5 seconds left. It's Tony over there. Thanks for the caramels today. 3, 2, and 1. Kill him, Tony. Kill him, Tony. Kill him. Kill him. Kill him. All right, well, that was fun. Okay, so now that's done. Thank you so much, Tony there, rocking it. He does it that loud again, and he may not be ringing said bell. But thank you, Tony, for that one. Lots of fun. Man, what a super crazy busy day. It looks like what's gonna continue are these headlines.
Yep.
And that's why that's not why, it's one of the reasons why Brendan's over there at the big desk. I think we got positive today, did we, Brendan?
Good one. No, we did not. My quote board is not working for some strange reason. Oh, wait, there it is. Okay, now we're good. Now I can show you. Let's have a look, guys, at how we wrapped up the day. Definitely not in positive territory, but hey, it was a lot worse when you joined us this morning at one point. So 0.9, 1.5 there for the Dow, the NASDAQ 0.8. So it did try. Valiant effort. Anyways, 2.5 for Bitcoin, 1% for Ethereum as well. So cryptos had a nice day, guys.
All right. I got to get out of here. Look at this. Every time Sean says CGC, we'll all take a puff. All right. Can't join you, but I think that's a good idea. And then look at the love here for Tony. Tony the Tiger. Let's effing go, Tony. We love Tony. Tony the Tiger. Let's go. Tony the Pimp. Okay. Hell yeah, Tony. Tony out here slaying it. It's Tony. Tony taking over the broadcast. So that's fantastic. Thank you for all the love and the support. We've made another hero, Tony the Tiger, in the building. Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Sean. What's going on? Hey, there it is.
Hi.
Okay, so big thank you so much to Trader Brad today, obviously, for throwing it down in the midday. Shout out to Brandon and Luca now on the floor, so that's going to be a good one. Thank you so much for that. What's up to Tim? What's up to, who is that other guy over there? That's Lucas over there. What's up to Lucas? Thank you so much. And then Miss V in green. Almost worked. You know,
I tried.
We actually got pretty close there. I don't know.
At one point.
Yeah, we had a poll up there, and poll doesn't work for me, but it's a good day today. DWAC, my losing trade of the day, and I learned something from it, as we said. So, hey, join us tomorrow. Lots of earnings coming through. As you saw, it should be another exciting day. Kremlin on the mind, Ukraine, US. Everyone sleep well, and we will see you tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning. Ciao, guys.